having some issues with it, but we're still trying to work that format live stream. You know that we're on the I.S.U.P.K, the res, you know what I'm saying? So you can catch us on the res. And this is the I.S.U.P.K, the Inconvenient Truth. I'm Officer Kazagyad. I'm here with Malakma, Officer Malakma, you know what I'm saying? And we getting ready to put this in gear, you know what I'm saying? The Lord has cursed us, you know what I mean? The Lord has cursed Israel, man. He's cursed black Hispanics and Native American Indians. And the reason why he's cursed us is because we refuse, Salakia, here we go. We refuse to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Right. You know what I mean? That's the honest truth. That's why we're finding these curses coming upon us. And I'm going to say one of the biggest curses is sports, man, because, you know, permítame, ahí estamos, vamos a darle. You know, one of the reasons why I say that sports is a curse is because, okay, there we go. The pass, the water, Tabak Ganaz, Zabalawan in the house. Gracias, Tabak, por estar con nosotros. Kapar, what's up, brother Kapar? Yeah. Laura Cruz, Rona, gracias for coming on the show. Man, you know what? Erickson Littleton, the water for jumping on, of course, you know what I'm saying? But man, let's move on, right? Let's move on. You got these Dodger freaky people, you know what I'm saying? We got all these people that are into the Dodgers, the Raiders, you know what I'm saying? Dallas, right. You know, Dallas Cowboys. You got all these folks, man, that are heavy into what sports, man. And you know, when you think about it, man, these, you know, they even call them sports heroes. You ever heard that word, sports heroes? Yeah, they call them sports heroes, bro. Right. They even got a name for these people. Okay, los sports heroes, man. And you know, sports. Oh, Salakia, let me get on this. There we go. Now we can hear it. Now we good. All right. So, once again, the water for jumping on the show. This is the Inconvenient Truth, straight from California. I'm Officer Kazagyad 5000. I'm down here with my boy Malakma, Officer Malakma, I.S.U.P.K. You know, we're here, we're putting it down. Kabario, Howard up, the water for jumping on. George, my compa George, what's going on, Georgie? Yeah, that's right, man. El Monte in the house. So, man, we're going to go into sports today. George, this weekend, brother, you know what I'm saying? We're going to go into sports, man, because Dodgers is a hot number, man. Dodgers are going to the playoff, maybe, you know, San Francisco. You got Los L.A. Raiders, Los Vegas Raiders, you know. It don't even sound and it doesn't even sound right. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Don't even sound right no more. But you know, we got this big sports fanatic thing. Like I said, you know, like I mentioned, they even call them sports heroes. Right. You know what I'm saying? Now they look at these like heroes. But when you really think about it, when you really start analyzing the situation, you know, how are they heroes? I don't know if you were all sports fans back in what was that, the 90s, when all the baseball teams decided to boycott. Right. They boycotted. They were like, man, we ain't gonna have another game. We ain't gonna step out on the field no more unless we get a raise, because the baseball heroes thought they weren't getting paid enough. They thought they were making too little bit of money. They were like, man, we out here playing baseball for a whole season, and we're not getting paid enough. We're not being recognized enough. You know what I'm saying? You got to think about that whole concept. They're not getting paid enough. Don't they get paid, man, millions? Right? They're making top dollar for going out there and playing a goddamn baseball game. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? There's people who work hard all their life, man. My brother Georgie works hard all day long, man. This brother's out on the street all day long, driving, trying to make his money. He's working hard, you know what I'm saying? And you don't make that kind of money. But these brothers go out there and they play a little baseball and they get paid top dollars. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. If you got the skill, you got the skill, and you can go out there and do your thing, you know what I'm saying? But to call them heroes, well, that's a different story. To call them heroes, you know, the real heroes are people who really go out there and do things for their people. That's a real hero. Right. Now that's what I would consider a hero. Someone who does something for his people. Right. That's a hero. Someone who steps up, you know, and says a good word for his people. Someone who helps somebody out. Someone who looks after his people. That's, if you're gonna call anybody a hero, those would be the real heroes. baseball players are not heroes, bro. Those are people who get paid to do what they do. And what kind of hero would allow his people to be put in a position? You got black baseball players. But if black baseball players would have got together when they were killing who? Trayvon Martin? George Floyd, right? We can go down the list of all the black people who have been murdered on the streets of America.
Right.
And the baseball players, just the way they boycotted baseball and had everybody on their side, they could have done the same thing for those black brothers and sisters who got killed on the streets of America. They could have boycotted, came together and stopped police brutality, stopped police violence, stopped the unequal, murder, what is that? Unproportionate murders of blacks and whites. You know what I'm saying? They could have done something.
Right.
But they don't. You know why? Because they don't get paid to do that.
Right.
How about Hispanic baseball players, man? Let me tell you something. Hispanics, man, we dominate baseball, if believe it or not. They got a gang of Mexican baseball players. One of the greatest baseball players was Hispanic, Valenzuela, right? Fernando Valenzuela. One of the greatest baseball players, Fernando Valenzuela. You know, if Hispanic people, if the Hispanic baseball players would have come together to release the children who were in the detention centers, if they'd have said, we're not stepping another day on the baseball field, man, until you do something to either get all those kids out of the detention center or get them back to their parents, or just, do something that could help them out instead of being almost 9 years in the detention centers. You know what? People would have been like, damn, well, the baseball players are standing up. We're going to stand up right alongside with them. That's a hero right there. That would have been heroes. We would have seen them as real heroes. We would have been like, damn, they're real heroes, man. They're doing something for their people. But you know what? Not a single goddamn baseball player made the news as helping his people who were being persecuted, who were being locked up, who were being detained, who were being, murdered in the detention centers of America. None of them stepped up to the plate to help out in that situation. None of them.
Right.
Those kids ended up in those detention centers for a long time. And they still there to this day. And you know what? Baseball players would have been real heroes the way they say they're heroes. With sports heroes, they'd have done something to free those kids.
Right.
How about the Native American Indians? Why not step up to the plate and be like, you know what? The Native American Indian, the Native American women are disproportionately being murdered and abducted and raped. And they're disappearing. And you know what? No one is saying nothing about it. So if the baseball players would have wanted to, they would have easily raised the voice and made a difference for black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. Wouldn't you say, Malak?
I was going to add something. This is the reason why, Commanding General Yahanna has brought this out. The men of Bummy have brought this out. They always say that entertainers are not leaders. Right? You know what I mean? They fall, what is it? They fall victim, I guess you could say, or they fold when the pressure gets hot, man. For example, Nick Cannon, he brought out the truth about the Jews being black, and when they started, cutting his his ties and his deals, he folded and went back. You know what I mean? So they're under the guise of a paycheck, and they will, they can't speak for us, man.
Right.
But you know who can speak for us is the I.S.U.P.K.
Right.
Commanding General Yahanna. We will speak for our people, for our gente, man, for our raza. We will be out there and be, fighting for our people, man. Versus your entertainers, they're not going to do a damn thing, man. They don't want to lose that paycheck.
Absolutely, And let me tell you who the people are of the I.S.U.P.K. They're regular folks like you and me. They're regular brothers and sisters who wake up and realize, man, this place is not right. And then we get taught in this school and we realize, man, wait a minute. We can make a difference. We can change the way things are going. And the first part about changing the way things are going is to become aware that the situation around us is grave and that we can do something to make a change. And then you got to learn, and understand what that situation is. And the situation is this, exactly what we're talking about. How baseball players are not heroes.
Right.
Here's a very simple step. This is a simple one right here. baseball players are not heroes.
Right.
And yet, you take a lot of raza. We're taking our kids down to Dodger Stadium. Hey, let's go have a day at the ballpark.
Man.
The All-American
pastime
sport, apple pie. Goddamn it, Let's go down there. Let's take my kids because I need to spend a day with my children at the ballpark. And what better way to do it than the All-American baseball game? Go up to Dodger Stadium. Let me tell you something. People think if you go up to Dodger Stadium, well, because that's where all the baseball players and that's where you go to watch a game. Man, there's plenty of things to do up at Elysian Park.
Right.
You don't have to go watch a goddamn baseball game at Elysian Park. If you don't know, Elysian Park on Sunday nights is where all the raza goes, cruises their lowriders at a park. Now there you go. That's a nice place to take your kids to see a good pastime sport, a Hispanic pastime sport. Spend time with your kids. Sure, get yourself a goddamn car. Learn how to put a car together.
Shit.
Learn how to put wheels on a car. Learn how to change an oil. Learn how to do this. These baseball players are not our heroes. On the contrary, they're a distraction to our people. They're a major distraction, a distraction that's causing our children to fall into line with what America wants us to be like.
Right.
You know what I mean? Let's see. Let's go into some. Erickson Littleton says, what is that? I missed you, carnal. Let me see. Where is that at? Oh, here you go. Robert Clemente used to fly supplies back to Puerto Rico. He played for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Erickson, you're absolutely right. There has been some baseball players that have participated in helping their people, especially Puerto Rico. Puerto Rican, there's been a lot of, Puerto Rican people have a lot of love for themselves, But one of the things about when you see the Puerto Rican people is that they have a big thing that they want to make sure that America is good. Right. Because let's not forget, man. Let's not forget. A lot of Puerto Rican brothers believe they American.
Right.
They want to be part of America. Puerto Rico is what, the 51st or I don't know. Something.
They're trying to make it right.
Yeah, they're trying to make it
first state or whatever.
But you know what?
Yeah.
That's love that they show for their people.
Right.
That's a great thing to do because very few raza does that. Very few. And you know what? Very few Puerto Ricans do it too. I'm gonna be honest, man. Very few do. There's not, for the number of people that are here, there's not enough. We overwhelm the population of Hispanic, blacks, Native American. We overwhelm the other populations. Man, we should be dominating everything the way we dominate sports. We should be dominating everything likewise. You know what I mean? We should be on that same level that when our people are in trouble, we should be on top of it. We should be like, you know what? Let's take care of it. We should come together and make a difference.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's what we should do. Let me see. Tabak says, even on boxing, Edomites are waiting for a great white hope. Yeah, right. There'll never be that. You know why? Because Puerto Ricans dominate boxing. Right? Mexicans dominate boxing. Blacks dominate boxing. That's who dominates. We dominate this place. Black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians dominate sports. Dominate all these different aspects of life. We dominate. When it comes to work, when it comes to the workforce, man, Hispanics dominate the workforce. That's why, the Caucasian America, the one thing they always bring out when it's time for voting is that Mexicans are taking up all the jobs.
Right.
But you know what? Mexicans are taking up the jobs that no one else wants to do.
Right.
Caucasians are not going to go on the fields of America and pick that food. They're not. And we know it. And you know what? Caucasians are so, man, they're so wicked that they'll pay them less than anybody else. And they're the ones feeding America.
Right.
Think about it. You're eating your goddamn bowl of cereal with bananas and strawberries and berries because of them. And if they're not out there in the fields, where are you going to get your bananas?
Right.
Where are you going to get your fruit? Where are you going to get your vegetables? Where are you going to get your food? Think about it. You're not. Because without us, your market doesn't move.
Right.
And I'll go even further. The banana comes from Central America.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If America did not overwhelm the politics in Central America, and Central America had their own politics, and we did our own thing, and we were equal and made ourselves equal to America, you would not be eating bananas at the price you
Right.
get them. Because you know what? We'd be like, nah, wait a minute. We're working the banana plantations now? Well, we're in charge of our own land. We're in charge of our own shipping. Then you know what? You're going to pay the price, America. That's why America keeps Central America, Mexico, and all of Latin America in third world state.
Right.
Because they know that the day that these nations, that this country, that these people begin to do their own thing or create their own businesses, man, they're going to pay the price. So really, go ahead.
Now, if I could add something, you know, going back to the topic right at the beginning of the Dodgers, right? Like, that shows just how much of a broken down and beaten spirit we have in America. Us, you know, like being Mexican and whatnot, right? Because when you think of, you know, the history of the Chavez Ravine, and then the majority of the Dodger fans, you know what I mean? Our raza, our Mexicans, and they just, you know, go out of their way to love the Dodgers, you know, be diehard fans for that team. Can you imagine had the Dodgers organization and the city of Los Angeles had done that to any other nation of people? You think if they would have done that to the Asians, they would have done that to the Africans, to, you know, any other group, you think they would love the Dodgers and go out of their way to love the Dodgers? Nah, man, they would protest and not, you know, not show love, not be the biggest fans, man. That's why, you know, the Dodgers have what, Hispanic heritage month, man. I seen their jerseys, right, like that are in the colors of the Mexican flag. We think that's showing love to us, but in reality, it's a mockery. It's a diss to us, man. They're really mocking us, man, and we're over there welcoming them with open arms and showing them love. Meanwhile, you know, any other nation, they would have, you know, like been like, the hell with you. We're not going to support you. Right. That's, you know, that's just how destroyed we are in this place, man. And the Christian church is you know, a big cause of that.
Absolutely. Let me tell you something. The reason why our countries are the way they are is because it's convenient to America to destroy the economic balance that Latin America has.
Right.
And the reason why they destroy our economic balance is because if we had economic power, America would not be a great nation as it is today. If we had economic power, the baseball teams that you have today would be owned by Mexican corporations,
right?
Hispanic people. The black folks would have their own businesses. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We'd have our own businesses. We do our own thing. And then the Caucasian America or the corporations would not be profiting off of us. They would not be profiting off of our labor, our talent, right? Our workforce,
right.
Our natural resources,
right?
Our products. Think about it. America prospers because of us.
Right.
Without Latin America, America would have never prospered. Without Black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, America would have never prospered. The first greatest boxing match that took boxing to its mainstream, you know, sports, how could I say, sports participation in everything was a black man against a white man. And the black man beat the hell out of him.
Right.
And they weren't trying to let that happen, but he did.
Right.
He ended up winning that, right? Ali.
Right.
You know, Cassius Clay, Cassius Clay, right? There is the beginning of boxing greats, right? One of the beginning of boxing greats, Cassius Clay. If not for Cassius Clay, boxing would have never made it to the mainstream. But you got a man like, you know, Muhammad Ali, and now you got everybody trying to watch. Right. Mayweather, Laura Cruz says Mayweather, he has always been mocking the Mexicans since day one. Laura Cruz, I'm going to agree with you. You know, Mayweather has done that, but Mayweather has a lot of love for Hispanic people. I'm going to tell you something. That's something that, you know what? I'm going to tell you, as a Hispanic, and I'm a big boxing fan, always have been. One of the things I've always, me and my brothers and my son and all of us, as soon as Mayweather was going to fight a Hispanic person, we'd always be like, hell no, man. I hope Mayweather gets knocked out. But when Mayweather goes up against a Caucasian person, man, we on Mayweather's side. We're like, oh, hell yeah, Mayweather, knock that fool out, man. Take that, you know what I'm saying? And it's always been like that. When Mexicans fought a Puerto Rican, Mexicans always been on the Mexican side. Man, I hope that Puerto Rican gets knocked the hell out, you know. Puerto Ricans the same thing. Puerto Ricans hated on Mexicans. Man, I hope that Mexican gets his ass knocked out, you know. But when a Mexican or a black fight a Caucasian, we all on their side. We love them. And Mayweather's uncle, who was Mayweather's uncle, right? He was the Mexican assassin. Isn't that what they used to call him? Yeah, the Mexican assassin. He, man, before Mayweather, if you didn't, man, and it slips my mind because I'm trying to think of everything. Go ahead.
Slide now.
Oh,
I was gonna say the uncle.
Yeah.
Roger Mayweather.
Roger Mayweather, man, he'd go up on stage with a Mexican hat, sarape. He'd go up there ready to fight, you know, and man, he used to make Mexicans hate him. You know what I'm saying? But when he fought Chavez 2 times, Roger said, hey, man, let me tell you something, man. Them Mexicans, man, they something to deal with. He said himself, man, no matter what I did, he kept coming back. And he recognized that us Mexicans and blacks, man, we the same. You know, we got that strong power to us, and we love each other, even though we always at each other's necks. We have a lot of love for each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's a good thing because yeah, we competitive against each other, but at the same time we've been taught, you know, to fight like that. And Roger Mayweather and Chavez, you know, even though they went at each other, and yeah, man, Roger Mayweather, he was known as the Mexican assassin. He'd go out there, and let me tell you something, Roger Mayweather and Floyd Mayweather, they always knew that their best fights were on Mexican holidays. Mayweather always had a fight on Cinco de Mayo. Damn. Always had a fight on the 16 de September, the 16th of September. Always, man. These were the major fights because who was going to fill that ring? Blacks and Hispanics.
Right.
Who was going to make that money? Black and Hispanics.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Don King knew I got to get Mexicans, I got to get blacks because they're going to make me my money. And when you really think about it, away from the hate we have for each other, when it comes to the money making, you know, mainstream and corporate, you know, finances or the big financial thing, what comes in money, it's black and Hispanics.
Right.
We're gonna make that money. We're gonna be the ones to bring in cash. You know what I'm saying? Like it's us that are gonna make that happen, and they know that. They know we're the ones that are going to make that money.
Right.
They know we're the ones that are really going to make it happen. Not too long ago, they had that white lady that was making menudo, right? What?
Oh, Rachel Ray.
Rachel Ray. Rachel Ray, man. I'm going to go into Rachel Ray. You know what I mean? Rachel Ray had to make menudo to get a goddamn name. Right. You know why? Because she made that menudo, and so many Mexican people were like, oh, hell no. Can't believe you're destroying our menudo, right. You know what I mean?
Right.
And she got like, man, they say that she got more from that single night of making that than any other show she ever had. I read that shit. I was like, that was overwhelming to the Hispanic community for Rachel Ray to go and attempt to make menudo. Because that's what she did. She attempted to make menudo, you know?
Man.
You know, that's wicked. But just to go to show you that Rachel Ray got so much attention just from trying to do some Mexican, you know, going into the Mexican culture. How about the Kardashians? They stole black culture and Mexican culture, and they were getting all the pub. She was getting all the pub from that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got something on that?
It's a lie, sir. Like, I mean, it's always been, you know, when you think about it, that's what they do. They love to you know, steal our culture, mock us, because it they get paid for it. You know what I mean? Like they try to, you know, there's this video I seen a while ago, you know, and I don't know who this cat was, right? But he was some cat. I think he was an Ishmaelite, and he went to Boyle Heights, right? And he was dressed in a sarape and he painted a mustache on his face. And there was a brother confronting him, right? Telling him to get out. But that's what they do. These I don't know what the term is for them, influencers or you know, internet celebrities or whatnot, like controversy sells and pays, and they get a kick out of going into our neighborhoods and our spaces and trying to mock us, to get a reaction out of us, because it gets them the views, it gets them the attention, and it gets them paid, man. So they do that, to their advantage, because they know, we're gonna, they know they can do that to us and get away with it and get paid, versus they can't do that to no other nation. You can never go to the LGBTQ community and openly mock them and think you're gonna get paid, man. You're gonna get canceled. Absolutely. As Dave Chappelle's learning right now.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? It's a cancel culture. Right. Cancel culture. Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right, man. But Alex Swinger from I.S.U.P.K. Res says that she wishes people could just get along, that we could just come together as one. Well, you know what? We can. There's no lie, we can. But before we can get along, before we can come together, first we got to come to terms with ourselves. And in order to come to terms with ourselves, first we got to understand that we got to come back to the Most High.
Right.
We got to come back to the Creator. Because obviously, even though we're talking about the sports and everything, once we separate from our Creator, then we begin to worship or follow the ways of nations and not of a Creator. And since we're doing this thing, since we're following the ways of a nation, the nation is errors all the time. I mean, we're living in Babylon, right? You call it Babylon, with the homosexuality, the racism, the separation of black and Hispanic. They're teaching us LGBT traits. They're pushing a transgender. Man, you name it. America is just overwhelmed with just garbage. And so where do you learn to come back to your senses? Well, you come back to the Lord, because the Lord is the foundation of morals and the way we should be. He's laid the foundation of morals. So in order to have a good foundation where we can come together and be as one and unite as one again, and see these sports so-called heroes and these sports events and everything, and start to see them as it's not really necessary. Because let me tell you something, people worship the sports, man.
Right.
Man, I know it. At work, there's cats, man, that know every single ball player. They know every single score they have.
Right.
They know every single time they've changed from one team to another. They know how much they're getting paid annually. You know what I'm saying? They know how many children they have, how many dogs they have. They know their blood type. They know the car they drive. They know everything about these cats, man. Everything. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, they know everything about them. But yet, when you try to tell them about the morality of things, they have nothing to do or nothing to know or have no idea or can't even get a clue on what that is.
Right.
To them, it's like, it's far from them. And that's a generation of people that are losing touch with moral values. And to lose touch with moral values is dangerous, because you lose touch. Imagine your children, or your children's children, or your brother's children, or your sister's children. Imagine what's gonna happen to them.
Right.
If you lost it, they won't even know it was there to be lost. You know what I'm saying? It'll be like blank to them. You know what I'm saying? So who are we? This is who we are. We're the ones who should set pace for moral values again.
Right.
We're the ones who should set the ways and come back to what they call old, but it's a moral code that we need to come back to, because we've lost it. We've completely lost the idea of coming together as a nation, Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians. Even though we can see how much alike we are, how much we are, equal. I see Laura says, I hated Mayweather since day one. I didn't like him at all. Well, you know what? The reason why you hated him, this is exactly what I'm talking about, is because, whenever you see those, what is it called when the boxers, before the fight, they go face to face with each other? Face-off?
Face-off, right.
The face-off. Well, the face-off is part of the show.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They do a face-off where you can hate one and love the other. That's why they do that. because that's the way that they're going to create a hype in the ring for you to watch, for everybody to watch.
If I could also add that people got to remember that also that a lot of these boxers and athletes and whatnot, like they're practicing what they're told to do. You know what I mean? Right. Someone's telling Mayweather to go make fun of the Mexicans,
right?
To call yourself the Mexican assassin,
right?
To go after this guy, to do this, do that. That their managers are telling them that,
right?
You know what I mean? And putting them up to that. And ultimately, the culprit behind all this is the oppressor. Absolutely. He's the one that's telling black people to mock Mexicans and Mexicans to mock black people, because he gets paid off of it, man.
Absolutely, it's called the show. Right. You know what I mean? That's what it is. It's a show. Halak is absolutely right. You got Judah and Issachar on the WC is the best fighters. We're the best fighters, and they know it, so they use us for a show.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And let me tell you something. When you think about it, boxing is a great sport because it takes a lot for you to go into a ring and do what you do. Right. And it takes a lot of skill, and the best man wins,
Right.
But we've been taking it the wrong way, because now what we do is we see it as a hate for one another.
Right.
We've taken it as, me against you, black against Hispanic. You know what I mean? Native American Indian, because a lot of the black brothers on there, when I say Native American Indian, like this sister Alex said, she's part black, part Native American Indian. And so is a lot of black folks. Right. A lot of black folks are native indigenous. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They're indigenous to this continent, and they're mixed with black folks. You know what I mean? So so I would say black, Hispanic, and Native American Indian in the ring, because that's who's in the ring now. Right. We're in the ring. We're the ones making this work. We're the ones making America happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you know what the cost is? Our lives is the cost. The lives of our children, that's the cost of living in America. We're the ones that are being murdered. We're the ones that are being killed. We're the ones that are in the prison systems. We're the ones that are being destroyed in America, and we're helping America to destroy our children. Right. You know what I'm saying? So we're not only destroying ourselves, but we're assisting in the destruction of our people. We're assisting by not paying attention to the corruption that's going around and the plan, right? Because it is a plan, right? It is a master plan that they got. The conspiracy theory, they got this master plan.
Right.
It is a master plan. I'm not going to say it's not. They got a master plan. When you used to get all high and watch conspiracy theories and UFO theories and all these things, when you think about it, that is a master plan. They do have something going on that's pushing the destruction of black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. And then when we figure one thing out, they'll bring in another thing.
Right.
And it's a game they're playing with us. You bring one thing, they bring another. The newest plan is LGBT.
Right.
That's the newest plan. That's the new destruction of black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians.
Right.
Wouldn't you say?
If I could, I don't
Go
want
ahead.
That movement is indigenous erasure.
Right.
Just like Planned Parenthood is indigenous erasure.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because there's this whole, term, right? Indigenous erasure online that, is coming from, the indigenous movements, right?
Right.
They're concerned about that. So that's the heads up. Those movements are literally there to erase your people and your identity. It's not us. It's not the I.S.U.P.K, man. We're here to teach the truth of the Bible. We're here to wake our people up. If it was literally erasing your people and your nations, is the oppressor and his tactics, which is that movement, the LGBTQ movement, Planned Parenthood, drugs, having our sisters whore themselves out. All that is destroying our people and erasing our nations and tribes and whatnot.
Absolutely, you're right. And you know what? It's nothing new, because it seems like every decade we got to deal with something else.
Right.
Every decade we got to go and deal with something else.
Right.
In the 60s you were dealing with racism.
Right.
In the 70s you're dealing with they're sending your people to war. In the 80s you're dealing with another thing. In the 90s and like that, they always come up with something.
Right.
You know, now what was it in the 90s? In the 80s, we were dealing with crack in our neighborhoods.
Right.
That was the 80s. In the 80s, they filled our neighborhoods with crack. Wasn't
Right.
there? It was a reporter, right, up in Northern California. They made a movie of this guy. Don't Kill the Messenger.
Right.
You ever seen that movie?
I
Don't
haven't
Kill
seen
the Messenger. Great movie. Don't Kill the Messenger. You seen it?
I think-
Kishar one?
Yeah, kind of. I think it's called Kill the Messenger, no?
No. Kill them. No, Don't Kill the Messenger.
Oh, okay,
Which is
sorry.
that newspaper guy up in Northern California who found out, because he was just doing a report, but his report, and the Lord works in mysterious ways, no? While he was doing research on his report, he ran into that the CIA was filling Compton and other neighborhoods with crack cocaine.
Good
You know,
night.
and he started printing these things, you know, about what was going on, and you know, he started really filling in the blanks of where crack cocaine was really coming from.
Right.
You know, and you know, really a good point. You know, how can poor people, right, living in ghettos in the barrios,
Right.
how are we gonna get a hold of cocaine?
Right.
How
Come
are we
on,
gonna
man.
do it, man? You know,
Right.
we over here struggling. We barely getting weed. You know, and now they got this crack cocaine coming in, and this some kind of what is that? Chemistry going on there to make it. You know, so you're gonna tell me some kid from Compton or South Central learned how to make crack cocaine? Who was he? A chemist? And all of a sudden, this guy, some kid just out of nowhere learned how to make crack cocaine out of getting a bag of cocaine. And even then, where was he getting the goddamn cocaine from?
Right.
Because let me tell you something, man. You know, for Raza who was from old school, you know, we weren't bringing in cocaine a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? Weed was what was coming in from Mexico. Mexicans used to bring in weed. That's a
Right.
fact. You know, they used to bring in la greñuda. Isn't that what we used to call la greñuda?
So like, sir,
Lima
if I could,
limon.
Weed doesn't even grow naturally out here, right? Weed grows naturally out there in Afghanistan, in the Middle East, right?
Well, weed, yeah, absolutely.
You
Yeah,
know, so how the heck did it get from over there to over here for even, you know, for our people to even grow it out here? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, really, heroin and hash comes from the Middle
Right.
East. They got the
Right,
hash and
yeah.
the heroin. But I remember, man, I grew up in the, you know, I'm not gonna say, but you know, early centuries, and I remember marijuana coming from Mexico. Well, goddamn, they did that. What is that? Cheech and Chong,
Right, up in
Ayar knows what's going on. Up in smoke,
Right.
because they knew that Mexicans used to bring fucking weed from Mexico.
right.
You know, and they'd spray it with fucking ammonia for the dogs wouldn't smell it to bring it across the borders. So you got these Mexicans, but they weren't bringing cocaine.
Right.
I think they started bringing cocaine when the CIA got involved into bringing drugs into America. According to this, what's his name? Man, I can't think of his name. Don't Kill the Messenger. That movie.
That's like, what about it?
What's that guy's name?
The guy that is based on?
The white boy, yeah, that is based on.
It's based on a book. It's like, yeah.
Well, Sean want to find it for us, but
I mean, it's right here, but I don't know. I don't see what the guy's name
what
is.
the reporter's name was.
Because it's based on a book.
Yeah,
It's based on a book by Nick Shaw.
But there was a reporter from Northern California who got caught up from San Jose. Actually, he was from San Jose, who got caught up in that shit. He's the one who
Oh, Gary Webb.
Gary Webb. That's exactly who that is. Gary Webb. Gary Webb broke the whole thing about the CIA, you know, being involved in the bringing of cocaine to America. And then if you really go into the Gary Webb story, you start realizing, hey, Shalom, y'all, Bashim Shak Barakatah, IR. Gary Webb started breaking down the story, and then it started coming out that, Arkansas with Hillary Clinton and what was Clinton, you know, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was the man behind bringing cocaine to America.
Good night.
He was the main guy bringing that.
So like, sir, what was that one general, or was he a general? Oliver North.
Oliver North, another guy. So you got these people are wicked. You know what I'm saying? And they're so wicked that they destroy our people first.
Right.
You know, the reason why you got all these Caucasian kids on drugs now is because they started this and it slipped right into the hands of their own people.
Right.
And when you think about it, you know, God punishes man. God's going to punish these people severely for the evil and the wickedness that they've done to Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians. You know what I'm saying? Because that's one wicked hell of a thing that they've been doing to us across all these. Like I said, every decade it's something new. You know what I'm saying? This decade we got something new. This decade we got the effemination of Black and Hispanics and Native American Indians. It's an all-out war to effeminate your children.
Right.
That's what it really is. You know, you got all these baseball players, like we were saying, and all these sports supposedly heroes, but ain't not one of them have stood up to say, hey, you know what? This gotta stop. This that's happening to our children, our people, has got to come to an end. None of them have stepped up to the plate to defend their people. You know what I'm saying? But we do. We come out here. We come out to defend our people. We come out to speak about every week about what's going on. And let me tell you something. Malakma was absolutely right. It's not only the baseball players. We're talking about the baseball players because we got the Dodgers and the whole playoffs and everything, you know. But we already know how wicked they are. You know, if you've been on my show before, you know how wicked it's been for what they did to the Mexican people to build Dodger Stadium.
Right.
And how they destroyed Hispanic communities. What is it? La Loma. What is that other one? Kashar one? La Loma and...
it's like, we talking about the Dodger Stadium, right?
Dodger Stadium, you know. And these areas
Bishop,
that were,
I know it was
Bishop, La Loma, and there's one more. But, you know, these areas were once predominantly Hispanic communities. And what they did was plow down the Mexican communities to build their Dodger Stadium. To build a stadium for their entertainment. It cost us our communities, our homes. You got it?
Palo Verde is the third
Palo
one.
Verde, yeah. Chavez Ravine is really the main. Chavez Ravine, Palo Verde, La Loma.
Right. It's like, if I could, got a little paragraph right here if you want to read
go
it.
ahead. Let's hear it.
So like, Chavez Ravine was made up of the three mostly Mexican American communities of La Loma, Palo Verde, and Bishop. In the 1940s, the area was. Many families lived there because of house discrimination in other parts of LA.
Because of what? House discrimination?
Colonel Khan.
So let me tell you something. The reason why Hispanic people lived in La Loma and Bishop and Palo Verde was because of house discrimination in other parts of Los Angeles in the 1930s and 40s. And let me tell you something. That shouldn't be nothing new. Because we always say, you know, Black and Hispanics, we have so much in common. Well, redlining was what they used to do to Black people. Where Black people could not buy property or live in communities that were Caucasian.
Right.
They had a red line, an imaginary red line, where you couldn't rent to Blacks, you could not sell to Blacks, and Blacks could not live in those communities. So what they do, they redlined them. That's the same thing that happened to Hispanics here in LA. Here in LA, we could not live in Santa Monica. We could not live in these areas out here, Hollywood or West Hollywood, or, you know, Thousand Oaks, or any of the better looking, or, you know, what do you want to call them? Rich areas, or, man, Caucasian communities. Suburbs. We could not live there. We weren't allowed there. Let me tell you something. It was this deep. We were not allowed to go to the beaches. Hispanic people, Black people, you could not go to Long Beach. You could not go to Santa Monica Beach. You could not go to Malibu. Hispanic people had their own place. It was called Marrano Beach.
Right.
Marrano Beach was where they expected all Hispanic. You Mexican, you believe in you belong at Marrano Beach. And Marrano Beach wasn't even a goddamn beach. Well, Marrano Beach was a river, the LA River. That's what it really was, the LA River, a flow off.
If I could, and then they couldn't even have that. right?
And then they couldn't even have that. Yeah, absolutely. Man. So Marrano Beach was the flow off of LA River. And that's where Hispanic people were allowed to go and have their Sundays, and have their Saturdays, go and bathe and gather and picnic and shit like that right there at Marrano Beach. Marrano means pig.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they knew that. And this is the places that they allowed us Hispanics to go and have our weekends. But Hispanic, you could not grab your family and go to, Pacific Palisades. You could not grab your family and go to Malibu. You could not grab your family and go to Santa Monica. Because when they would see you there, have you ever seen those old 60s surfer movies and shit?
Right.
You see those surfer movies. Oh, it looks like everybody's having a great time, and the music, the Beach Boys, and the women in bikinis and the surfers, and they're all having a great time. But ain't no Mexicans there.
Right.
All Hispanics were bound to, go back to Marrano Beach. This is not your area. They redlined us, just the way they redlined the black folks in the East Coast. In the East Coast, you had a place where you can rent, where you could have a home, and there was a place you couldn't. White people see you, they'd be like, bro, what you doing over here?
Right.
Boy, you need to go back to the ghetto.
Right.
Boy, you need to go back over, where you belong. You crossed the red line. And then they'd hang you, beat you, put you in prison, embarrass you, do all kinds of things to you because you did not belong in that neighborhood. And it was no different for Hispanic or Native American Indians. Because the Native American Indian went through the same thing that we went through. You had something, Kashawan?
Oh no! So I was going to add to the thing that you were saying about the redlining, because back in the day I read an article. I read an article that back in the day they would have the real estate people. They would make in the contract. They would put it to whoever they're selling the house to, that if they rent or if they sold this house or try to sell this house to a minority, that the contract would be breached. So let's say they sold the house and they try to rent out the house. If they rented it out to a minority, you know what I'm saying, to a Hispanic brother or a black brother, then that contract would be void and the house would go back to the original owner.
Gone. So there was even limits to what you could do.
Right.
I see Eduardo Montero, Carnal, has a question. He says, how do you write in different languages? Well, Eduardo, you got to be a little bit more specific in that question there for me to be able to answer it. I don't understand what languages you're talking about. Is it Hispanic languages? Is it Nahual? Is it Quiche? Is it Chuj? Is it Pipil, Huipil? There's different languages, what is that? Uto-Aztecan, if you're from, Utah or Nevada or Arizona, you'd have to be specific on what languages you're talking about. Or is it our language, which is the Hebrew, the ancient Hebrew, the Lashawan Kadash,
right.
Our original language, which really, if you think about it, the Lashawan Kadash, all other languages are similar to our language. Like you could go way back to the Quiche, right? The Quiche is the Mayan language, which the people from Central America, mostly Honduras, Guatemala, and places like that, they talk that language, and they have a word. I'm gonna say one simple word in the Quiche. They had that word Baal, right? Baal. When you say the word Baal in the Quiche language, that means feline or gato or pantera or jaguar. You're talking about a feline, Baal. They did, but when you bring it into the Hebrew, like you're asking, Baal, what is Baal? Baal was a god,
right?
An idol, a deity, Baal. So they would say that, So you see that, and it's it's a language that compares to their language. So I understand. I'm talking about Hebrew language. So Eduardo, the Hebrew language, when you think about it, the Hebrew language has a lot to do with our language when we're Latinos, Mexicanos, raza, el Quiche, o si eres El Salvador, el Huipil or Pipil, right? Or si eres de Mexico, el Nahual, our languages are very, very similar. So, how do you write in different languages? Well, this is a good way to find. This is a great question because on Fridays, We just so happen to have a class. It's called the Lashawan Kadash, where you could tune into our classes, right? I don't know who runs that class out here.
Kapar.
Kapar has a class. Brother Kapar has a class. And on that day, he'll teach you how to write and how to read and how to say different words that are that have, meanings in the Hebrew. And he'll teach it to you from English to Hebrew. When you come into the school, you get a name, a new name, not your old Spaniard name, but you get a new name and you begin to learn, the Hebrew language. The first thing you're going to learn is how to speak to God in the Hebrew by saying the prayer, right? The God's the prayer that we always knew, ¿cómo se llama el rezo ese? El Padre Nuestro, right? Isn't that the one? Padre Nuestro, our Father. Right. The Christians and the Catholics, they named that prayer El Padre Nuestro. No, isn't that true?
Man.
No sabes el Padre Nuestro, pues que sí me lo sé. Padre Nuestro que estás en el cielo. Oh yeah, but us will teach you how to say the Padre Nuestro in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Yahweh, Malak, with God, and you so on and so forth. So you begin to learn how to speak and understand the Hebrew. It's important. You're going to learn languages. Well, you got to learn all the language, especially your own language. And Hebrew is our own language. So Eduardo Montero, I te consejo and, invite you to come into our classes on Friday. I'm not on the class, but Brother Kapar is on that class. And it's a great way to learn how to speak the Hebrew or Quechua in South America. Absolutely, Tabak. Absolutely, Quechua. I haven't spoken that one yet. Don't know any words in the Quechua, but must be interesting. And probably just like this, it's probably an old Hebrew language also. You know what I mean? So let's go back to what we're talking about. When we see the tragedy of what happened to Chicanos, because they were Chicanos, right? Chicanos in America during the relocation or the gentrification, which is really what it is. The gentrification of Dodger Stadium. When you talk about a neighborhood that's being gentrified, I think Dodger Stadium stands out as one of the worst gentrification acts against Hispanic people that has existed. They teach.
They literally I didn't mean to interrupt. Just wanted to say literally went into those neighborhoods and forced our people out of there. Literally.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? In today's time, these oppressors move into our neighborhoods and subtly try to remove us out of our neighborhoods.
Absolutely. And let me tell you like that, you can jump in and I'll jump out. So let me tell you something. One of the things you got to understand is that when you start seeing these things that happen to our communities, sometimes we look, when you look at the Jewish or the Israelis, right? You look at the Israelis and what they're doing to the Palestinian people, where they're getting their bulldozers and plowing their neighborhoods. I mean, you can look it up and see how they don't even ask, hey, can we take your sell us your house or sell us your community? They don't give a damn. They're jumping on bulldozers and going over the houses and forcing Palestinians out of their neighborhoods. And they're taking shots at them from towers with guns and sharpshooters and shooting at the children and shooting at the Palestinian people and forcing them out of the neighborhoods by force without asking, without any kind of contract or anything. They're just doing these things, man, you know what I'm saying? Evil, wicked. But that's exactly what America did to Hispanic people at the Chavez Ravine. The same thing, no different. They got bulldozers and plowed over that community and buried schools, businesses, liquor stores, homes. The whole community got buried under the Chavez Ravine. Why? Because of the greed of America. You guys understand? Let me try to get this thing on. Because of the greed of America. That's all. That's why they did it. Because America is a greedy source, man. And that's all they were after. They were after that community. And they made up so many lies. You know, they looked so many lies to try to make up for you know what they were doing. You know what I'm saying? But let me tell you something. We're raza, bro. We're Chicanos. We're Mexicanos. Nosotros somos raza. We can never forget what happened to our people. How are you going to push that under the rug? How are you going to be like, you know what? Oh, you know, it's okay. I'm going to forget about it. And every time you go to a goddamn Dodger game, let me tell you something, man. You're forgetting about your people. You're forgetting about the tragedy that happened. Every time that you love a goddamn Dodger game more than you do your people, man, that's to really think about. You know what I'm saying? That's really something that you need to be like, man, really, man, do I really, you know, am I really going to push my people aside for this? You know what I'm saying? Man. You got to be, there's got to be understanding, because what you're really doing is you're setting foot for what your children are going to be educated in. How do you want your children to educate? How do you want them to grow up? Do you want them to grow up in ignorance and allowing this to happen to them? Or do you want them to grow up a little bit more in touch with who they are and their heritage? Man, we cannot let a culture of bandits, thieves, robbers, rapists, you know, murderers. We cannot let that culture overtake us. That's a slap in the face to our people. You know what I'm saying? And that spirit comes from really loving your people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to have a lot of love for your people to be able to really express yourself for the tragedies that happen to your raza. You know what I mean? I mean, even today, you know, we see our people, nuestra raza is working hard in the fields, you know, in the, the construction industry. Man, we the one building America. And yet, what do you mean that, oh, the all-American sport? The hell with the all-American sport. You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you something. I don't know if anybody knows this, but for a long time, America did not allow soccer to be promoted in America. They didn't want soccer. They banned soccer, bro. They were like, nah, soccer a la madre con soccer. They didn't want to have nothing to do with soccer. For a long time, Americans were anti-soccer. Man, this is a fact. You got to understand that America didn't want to have nothing to do with soccer. Why? Because soccer was the number one sport in Latin America. Number one sport in Latin America. And you know what? Still is. Still is to this day. Football has never made it to Latin America. Baseball has never made it to Latin America. You know what I'm saying? Pinche hockey, ni madres. Boxing, right? La lucha libre, right? And soccer, number one sports in Latin America. Latin America ain't got no basketball. You know what I'm saying? Soccer dominates. And they knew that. America knew that. And that's why America was so anti-soccer. Because they didn't want to have a Mexican sport overtake their old, you know, their, their all-American baseball, a sport. You know what I mean? So they were anti-Mexican sports, bro. And you know what? We were always, anytime, I remember back in the day, bro, because we had a restaurant, you know, we had a little club restaurant, you know, I'm going to call it little, but we always had the games. El Salvador and Mexico played, we're going to have the goddamn game. You know, we're going to show the game. Yeah, claro, hay broncas, you know. And don't let Mexico win. Don't let El Salvador win because it's on and cracking. Man. You know what I'm saying? But hey, so, you know, when they see us doing that, they're like, oh, no, these guys are animals. But when the English do that, what are those English people called?
Soccer hooligans.
Hooligans.
Oh, it's all good.
Oh, it's all good.
You know what I mean? They passionate about their team.
Yeah, they just kids, man, having a good time. To them, it's passion of the game, like you say, you know.
If I could, I don't want it. It's like, you know, when it comes to gang banging, you know, when you have cholos and Crips and Bloods, you know, all of a sudden we're a race of criminals and thieves and everything. But you know, when the Italians and the Irish were doing it, you know, what were they? You know what I mean? It's all good. They're glorified. They get movies, and everybody wants to be Al Capone, and you know, wants to be like Beanie Siegel. You know, who the Jewish man too. They were out gang banging and everything. But it's all good when they do it. But when it's us, we get demonized for it.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, we get demonized for shit like that. Look, I'm going to answer to Eduardo Montero. He says, you took over. Fool. Okay, I'm good. We took over Mexicans. My wife's grandpa is straight up Native American and hates every race after that, including Mexicans. He's from this land. He was taken to a Catholic school. It's called the boarding schools. That's what it's really called. The Catholic schools are really called boarding schools of America. One reason they don't believe in Catholicism, right? So let me tell you something, Eduardo Montero. You know, a lot of Native American Indians have that sentiment. They think, oh, you know what? Fucking Mexicans, they came and took over this place. You know,
right.
We're the natives here. But what Native American Indians don't understand that America, so-called America, right? This continent, or Northern America, right? North America, right here, was split into two spots. It was split into the Native American, who we call Gad, right? In the Bible, known as the tribe of Gad. These existed in the eastern and midwestern part of America. But then you got California, and you got Nevada, you got Arizona, you got some parts of Oregon, but not really, but mostly California. And these were all Mexican Indians. A lot of them Yaqui. And the Yaqui is from Sonora, if you understand your culture. Sonora. And so what it is that if you're from California, they got the Chumash Nation out here.
Right.
And have you ever seen a Chumash Indian? I know Chumash because I used to hang out with a lot of Chumash. I know a lot of brothers. I had this one brother, Fidel, he was a radio announcer, and he was from the Chumash Nation. Chumash Nation is from Santa Barbara. That's Chumash. When I first met Fidel, man, the first thing that came out of my mouth was, "What's going on, carnal? ¿Cómo estás?" Yeah. He looked at me like, "What the fuck, bro? What are you talking about?" I was like, "Bro, you don't speak Spanish?" He was like, "No, man. I'm Chumash. I'm from California, Indian." I said, "Oh, damn, bro, you look Mexican to me, bro." He's like, "Oh, yeah, my family is, we look Mexican. A lot of people tell us that, but we're native Californian." Well, if you go back into Chumash history, they were Mexican, bro.
Right.
Because the Mexican roamed all the way up here. This was all Mexican territory, right? Till the Treaty of Hidalgo, which was sold, right, to this nation of white folks, but this was all Chumash Nation. So yeah, I can understand how the Native American Indian feels, but the Native American Indians, those who are keen and understand the Hopi Indian, look Mexican, bro.
Right.
The Hopi Indian you look at them and they looking like Mexicans. You look at the Chumash Nation, the San Miguel Nation, the San Gabrielinos, they look Mexican, bro. You look at them and you're like looking at raza.
Right.
You're like, damn, bro, you don't look like native Indian. And now you got black Indians.
If I could, sir.
Go ahead.
The reason why they look like Mexicans, right, is because we're the same people, man.
Right.
From the north to the south, as people like to say, it's a one nation, one people. And we tell you who that one people is, right? Because everybody agrees that the tribes, that the nations from the north, all the way down to the nations in South America, are one people, but they never say who that people is. That people is Israel. We're the Israelites of the Bible. That's who we really are, man. And that's why we can spiritually, and there's a scripture, right, that says, like, the Spirit bears witness, right? It's no matter how hard we try to deny that we're Israelites, it's just it comes out of us, man. And that's the clue right there, man, that we know we're one people. We know we're a separate people. We know we're the salt of the earth, man. And we know we're a people above all these other nations of people, man.
Absolutely. So when people, and I do, man, I deal with that all the time with people that, oh no, I'm native Indian, la chingada, okay, that's cool, but so are we native. So are we native, man. So are we native people, you know what I mean? There's different people that see things different. We see it like that. We all the same people. You know how we know we all the same people? Because we all have the same oppressor.
Right.
You say that the Klamath tribe don't see it that way? Of course they don't see it that way. Just the way black people don't see, just the way Africans don't see black people as their people.
Right.
They're like, nah, you ain't our people, man. You are another nation. Yeah, they sure are.
Right.
But we're not. We one nation. We one people because we have the same oppressor.
Right.
We've been oppressed, destroyed, robbed, raped, and murdered the same way. You know, that sister that you say that was in the Catholic school, which was known as the boarding schools of America. You know, those boarding schools, I'll tell you what was equal to the Mexicans in California. The missions.
Right.
The missions were the same thing as the boarding schools for the Native American Indian. The missions were the schools for the Mexican Indian. The Spaniards came to California and built all these missions up and down the coast. Actually, these missions go all the way down to El Salvador. Tabacana should know about that. All the way down to El Salvador. You know, you got these missions that were built by man, I can't even think of that fool's name right now. That saint, the guy they wanted to make a saint, but it slipped my mind. But these missions, their whole thing was to get Mexican Indians, put them in these schools, cut their hair, kill their parents, kill the children, kill the males, and convert them into Catholics.
Right.
That was the goal of the missions. You know what I mean? That's the goal of the missions. The missions goal is to convert Hispanic or Mexican Indian, we're going to call him Mexican Indian to Catholicism.
Right.
So who's the real enemy? Are we Mexicans the real enemy? Of course not, carnal.
Right.
Are Raza the real enemy to the Native American Indian? Of course we're not the enemy.
No.
You know what the problem is, that we've been taught to hate each other.
Right.
And that's why you're I don't know who that is that you mentioned. I won't even go into it. I was gonna look, but I'm not gonna go into it. But that's why I'll speak in general. That's why the Native American Indian, the so-called Native American Indian, the native to the indigenous of America, who calls himself Indian, that's why he hates Mexicans, because we've been taught to hate each other.
Right.
We've been instructed in the hate for one another. Mexicans hate blacks.
Right.
Blacks hate Mexicans.
Right.
Native American Indians hate Mexicans. Mexicans, and in return, we're hating each other.
All
But
tribes hate each other.
we
man.
hate each other, man.
We all hate, man.
Hey, Puerto Ricanos hate
Yeah,
Mexicans.
man. Salvadorians hate Mexicans.
Hey, and Mexicans hate Salvadorians.
Right? You know what I mean?
And you can't call a Cuban a Puerto Rican because he's like, oh, coño, soy cubano. You know?
Right.
So you got, man, Haitians hate Dominicans.
Right.
Dominicans hate Haitians.
Right.
So Venezolanos hate Peruanos. And Peruanos hate Venezolanos. But we are one people.
Right.
And we've been taught to hate each other. But who really bring that hate? Where is that hate really coming from? Well, think about it, Ganan. The hate is coming from being instructed. And the people that choose to teach us to hate each other are the ones who are benefiting from the hate that we have from each other. Go ahead.
I got a precept out of one. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 55, verse 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. The words, or Salah,
go ahead.
Did you want to keep going?
No, keep going.
The words out of his mouth, or the words of his mouth, were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart.
But what?
War was in his heart.
Absolutely, man. The Lord tells us, man, that, man, the white man's words are smoother than butter, man, but war is in his heart. So he was real smooth at instructing us on hating each other. He learned how to teach us by speaking to us that that's your enemy. That's your enemy. He's too black. He's too light. You're better than him. And he instructed us in that. And Eduardo, you're absolutely right. Christopher Columbus called us Indios.
Right.
Because he thought he had discovered India. And that's why he called us Indios. But to say that the Native Americans who are on this land were here first is really up in the air, because if you look at the Aztecs, the Maya, the Mexica, the Toltecas, right? If you look at the Mayans, right? If you look at the Incas, right? Look at the structures that they made.
Right.
Look at the pyramids that were created on this continent. Those pyramids are, man, it took them how long did it take them to create those things? They're still there. but yet America doesn't have them. So who was here first? I'll tell you who was here first. We were all here at the same time.
Right.
We all learned the structure of everything. We cannot say I was here before my brother, because we don't know the story. But yet they're based upon what? How they lived in the land. We all lived the same way.
Right.
How they roamed. We all roamed the same way. The Mexica were nomads who roamed all of Latin America for a while till they found their place in Tenochtitlan, right? So
right.
How can you say you were the first? How can anybody claim to be the first? The problem is that these people who claim, who are angry, who are, poisoned with that mentality of hating each other, your brother, Black, Hispanic, Native American, Indian, they lack the education of understanding who they are. The story of the 10 caves, man, is very important in Latin America, because the story of the 10 caves tells the story of where all these people came from. Okay, but they came from the land there was snow. They came from a land there was snow. But they came from land there was snow. I don't understand that, Eduardo. You got to make that a little bit more clear for me. You telling me that they came from a place that came from snow? Where in U.S. is there snow is West Coast? I don't understand that, Eduardo. But I think I know where you're going to. Wait a minute. Alaska, Utah. Well, let me tell you something. You got to understand this. You say there's no snow in the West Coast. I live in California, and when I was younger, it snowed here. I was in Arizona, and in Arizona, it snowed in Arizona. I lived in Arizona, in Glendale, Arizona, and it snowed there. Because of the change of the weather, what is that? The warming of
global warming.
Global warming, we no longer see the seasons have changed. It's no longer the same.
Right.
There was snow always. Let me tell you something. Here where I live at the foot of the Sierra Madre. And the Sierra Madre is the highest point in this northern side. Big Bear, it snows. Absolutely, Halak. I live out here, and you know what? It snows out here. So, really, when you talk about if that's a reason to say who's who, it can't be.
Right.
The weather is not a reason. I'll tell you what the solid proof is, our history. The one we've written. The one our ancestors talk about. One thing that the native indigenous people have is that they spoke truth.
Right.
They were solid on morals. That's one thing they were, solid on morals. If they killed an animal, they had to eat the whole animal. They could not let it waste. They could not just hunt it for game like the white man does. Our indigenous brothers in Mexico, they did the same. They weren't going to kill a deer and let it go to waste. They had to use the whole thing.
Right.
The water, the food, everything was used to its proper way. You know what I'm saying? We used everything that the Lord gave us in the right manner. We were morally correct. You know what I'm saying? We have turned immoral, and we begin to believe the lies of our oppressor.
Right.
Now we live in these lies. Now we see things their way. Even them that you call indigenous today, the person you're talking about, even she's seeing the crookedness. She's seeing things wickedly. She's seeing things not the right way. But that's why we're here, because, hey, I come from that same place. My brother comes from that same place.
Right.
We come from seeing things wickedly. We come from being in a wicked place and acting the wicked way. But you know what? That's why we're here today. Because here we come to terms with who we are. And come to terms with history, the Bible, the Most High, and coming back to moral code. Man, the Lord, man, He ain't playing. He made this place. And let me tell you something. I know that they talk about, no, well, you know what, you're talking about God, the Christian God, the Catholic God.
Right.
But we're not talking about a Christian God. We're not talking about a Catholic God. We're talking about a God, a creator that created the native indigenous, and us and everybody else. Go ahead.
We're talking about the God of the Vatos. That's what we're talking about, man. The God of our gente is what we're talking about.
Right.
El Dios de la Biblia.
Ándale.
Es el Dios de los Vatos.
Right. Eduardo says, where did the history of the Aztecs come from? Well, that's a good point, because we're talking about our culture, and I know me and Ayara talked about it a lot, but we have written history. In Mexico, there are these things called the Codex. They got the Codex Bogeum, they got the Dresden Codex, they got the Codex Mexica, they got like thousands of codex that still exist to this day. You find them in the museums.
Right.
That's where you find these codex. The codex are writings that exist from the times of the Mexica, the Purupeches, the Aztecs, if you want to call them the Aztecs. They got so many writings. Mexico is rich in historical culture. Even today, they're doing the Tren Maya, which is running from Central America up to Mexico. And the Tren Maya, they're stopping it because all their as the train is going, they're finding places that they got to stop, because now they got to excavate, because they're finding ruins and more ruins and more ruins and more ruins and more evidence and more historical fact and more history of our people. So Mexico, man, like, we gonna be able to know who we are. Like, Mexicans, we got no excuse.
Right.
Like, we know who the hell we are.
Right.
Like, ain't nobody got more history than Central America and Latin America, bro. Like, we got history, written history from our ancestors. That's the one thing that was left behind from Hispanic people, our history. Written before the conquest and after. And let me tell you something. It's not just writings. It's not hieroglyphics, brother. It's not some fucking chicken scratch. You know what I'm saying? No, these are pictures. These are picture forms. You know how your raza goes out and tags on the walls?
Right.
That's what they used to do.
Right.
You know how your raza goes out and gets a spray can and makes monitos en la pinche pader?
So like
that's what we used to do.
Just the characters that we write on the walls.
Absolutely, bro.
It is unique to any other,
absolutely,
any other people and what they write on the walls. That's how you know what I mean?
The pyramids in Egypt and all the writings and all the paintings that they have were drawn and painted by the same people that went to Central America, the Mayans, and built pyramids and painted all over the walls the same type of pictures, and then went to Mexico, built Tenochtitlan and Tula and Tolan, and did the same thing right there. Painted all over the walls, painted pictures, made carvings, made everything. Man, like, we a rich culture. We rich in culture, man. The reason why we're the greatest muralists, the reason why we're the greatest taggers, the reason why we're the greatest tattoo artists is very simple, carnal. The reason why we're the greatest as art is because when we were in Egypt, held captive, that's all they used to have Issachar doing. That's all we used to do. We used to go and paint on the goddamn walls. That was us painting that on the walls. How do you know that? Because if you go to Mexico, it's duplicated.
Right.
The same paintings that are in Egypt, in the pyramids, are in the pyramids in Central America, are in the pyramids in Mexico, are on the walls and the writings all across Latin America. And the native indigenous people, all right, Shalom, the native indigenous people of the Americas, of Northern America, they also did the same. I'm not going to take nothing from them, but it's overwhelming what you see in Central America. It's overwhelming what you see in Latin America. I mean, come on.
What you see out here.
What you see out here. I mean, you go out to East LA. You go out to any place in LA, man, and someone's tagging the wall. Who is it? A goddamn Mexican.
Right.
Remember Chaka?
Yeah.
That was Mexican or Central American.
Wasn't he Ephraim?
Or Ephraim. Same goddamn name. He was in Israel. Absolutely. You know, and absolutely Tabak Tikal, Copan, Tamazul, all these places, man. You see us as, man, the artists. Orozco, right? Who has, man, the three greatest fucking muralists. Man, it slipped my mind. It'll come to me. But the three greatest muralists in the world were all Hispanics. Orozco, Siqueiros, and man, who was that other guy? slips my mind. But anyways, the 3 greatest muralists with them, Mr. Cartoon.
Mr. Cartoon,
goddamn, Mr. Cartoon, bro.
No,
hey, let me tell you something. The Japanese pay Mr. Cartoon to go out there and tag their asses, bro. You know what I'm saying? So come on, man. Like, there is too much coincidences in the history in the Bible and what Israel was doing and the history of us today and what we do today. You know what I'm saying? Like that's us right there. You know what I mean? So when you really think about it, man, that's us. He says, yeah, my wife tells me how her relatives are more Aztec than mine. Our DNA test shows that way more native than me. I'm fucking Mexican, dude. Both parents of paisas. Her DNA native mine. Let me tell you something, brother. I'm hearing about DNA.
Right.
But what I'm talking about is physical proof. That goddamn DNA, man, them scientists don't know what the hell they're talking about. And I read this story of this guy that went to 4 different places to get his DNA checked, and they all came out different. Tabak, Tawara, Diego Rivera, Orozco, y Siqueiros, the 3 greatest muralists in Mexico. They were known in Russia, in America, in China. Everybody who saw these 3 brothers, Siqueiros, Orozco, y Rivera, man, they were like, those are artists.
Right.
And that is only one generation of great artists, and they taught other Mexican people great artistry. And before them was the Aztecs and the Mayans and all the other Hispanic people who knew how to draw and make murals. They were muralists, bro. Like, come on. When are our archaeologists gonna, piece together the talent that we have?
Concert.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, like, I don't know if I could to address the carnal real quick, right, to Eduardo. There's a reason why carnal in the I.S.U.P.K. and according to the Bible, right, it teaches you that you are whoever your father is. You know what I'm saying? Because you're telling us that you took that DNA test, and it's saying that you're more white than native, but you just said your parents are both paisa. So I'm assuming that they look indigenous more than anything. And if you look at your family, your familia, right, in the history of family, they're all indigenous and look more indigenous than anything. So you can't, those DNA tests, the Ancestry.com, the 23andMe, the whole theory of blood quantum, all those things exist to try and get us to not, to try and get us to deny our indigenous roots, man.
Absolutely.
The oppressor uses that to cause confusion in us, man, and to actually hate on each other, man, because it's an issue that's very prevalent amongst our people when they start measuring how native you are, by your blood percentage. When the Bible doesn't even say anything about a blood percentage. It says you are whoever your father is. If your father's indigenous, you're indigenous. If your father's an Edomite, you're an Edomite. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how, to address the carnal. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. And you know what? There is no test to how Mexican you are.
Right.
Like you Mexican because you Mexican. You know how you know you're Mexican? Because people look at you, white people look at you, they're like, oh, this is a goddamn Mexican. There's your DNA test right there. And you don't need a DNA test. All you need is some white guy to look at you and be like, this dude's a wetback. All you need is a goddamn agent, a border agent to be like, hey, you got papers? Damn, you Mexican right there.
So like, I want to say this one more time. Look at Canelo Alvarez, right?
Right.
Ain't no white people loving him, man. They're sticking up for him. They hate him.
Absolutely, you know absolutely. That's how you know who you are. Go ahead.
You know what I mean? And he's light skinned with red hair.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like
absolutely. But you know what happens is that we've lacked finding a place where we can be the most Mexican that we can be. You know what white people used to call it? They used to call it this. They used to call it you're too uppity.
Right.
Isn't that the word they used to say? Oh man, this guy's uppity, man. This guy's too uppity. White people would hang you for being too uppity.
Too Mexican?
Too Mexican, bro. The word uppity was their way. White people be making shit up, bro. Like, they make words up to persecute you, bro. To make you look bad. They'll make words up. They'll think of something. They even make words up to make excuses for themselves.
Right.
Like, this kid was, he was mentally sick. He had Down syndrome. He had some other bullshit, Right. They make words up to make excuses. So when your people were on a piece of land that they wanted, right? Here in California, I'm talking about 1849 here in California. When a white man saw a piece of land that he wanted, he would go and tell the sheriffs, hey, you know what? The people on that, they're acting too uppity, man.
Right.
They're acting too uppity. They're out there, you know, riding on their horses. They're making their horse dance.
Right.
That's too uppity. White people don't make their horses dance.
Right.
Whenever you ever seen a white man make a horse dance?
Right.
Never, bro. They don't
Right,
make their horses. Raza, bro. Allí en Zacatecas, ¿quién? ¿Cómo se llama? Antonio Aguilar, he makes all his goddamn horses dance.
Right.
If a white man sees Antonio Aguilar making his horses dance, they'll be like, oh no, he's acting too uppity, bro.
Right.
He's acting too goddamn Mexican. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
They see you, they're like, hey man, you cut your jacket, you know, you got all this, you're wearing jewelry, you got your headband, your hair is too straight, bro. Oh, you put grease on your hair? Oh no, you're acting too uppity, bro.
Right.
You know, you're acting too uppity. Oh, the way you talk, carnal, you're using these words, you know, you know, your hand movement, no, you're acting too uppity. So what does too uppity mean? Too uppity means you're acting too Mexican. You can't be acting Mexican, bro.
Right,
what the hell's wrong with you? Can't be acting too black.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta tone it down a bit.
Right.
Tone it down a bit, bro. You're acting too Mexican, too black, too Native American Indian. But what's happening with us, bro? That us ourselves, the Native American Indian is like, that dude's Mexican because he acts too Mexican.
Right.
You know? And the Mexicans like, that dude right there, the Chicano, I'm sorry, but the Chicano, the Mexican American, oh no, he's acting too Mexican, bro.
Good
you know,
night,
we don't want to hear that language here. You know, you're too Mexican, bro. You're in America now. Exactly. Go back. Go back to wherever it is you came from, bro. You're acting too Mexican, man. You know, don't act like that. You know, don't speak Spanish and English at the same goddamn time, bro. Either speak one or speak the other one.
Good night.
Don't speak both. You're in Mexico no more, bro.
What they say, this America, you speak English.
Right, it is America now. Speak Spanish, goddammit.
And he's darker than you.
Exactly, bro. So you know, this is the thing.
Man.
This is the thing about us that we gotta learn, right, to come back to our heritage.
Right.
We gotta learn to come back to who we really are. And let me tell you something. Brother. Right here in the ISUPK, right, Eduardo. Right here is where you're gonna come back to who you really are.
Right.
You know, because when you like brother, me and my son, we've been going out and we've been, you know, having conflict with the Brown Berets. Because we go with the Brown Berets and the Brown Berets are talking about, oh no, let black people do black things. Let the black people do their black stuff. You know what I mean? The black people, they need to do what the black people do. And we're like, brother, those are our brothers. They going through the same shit we're going through. On the contrary, we should be helping each other out. They're like, no. Let the black people do the black thing. But we think that black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians, we're all going through a struggle. And Mexicans should help black people. And black people should help Hispanic people.
Right.
And we should look at the Native American Indian like those that need help just like we do. Because we're not good. We all need help. And let me tell you something. Because you're doing good, because you have a house and you got a car and you got a good job, that doesn't mean your whole nation is good. That doesn't mean all Mexicans are doing good.
Right.
Let me go into the Bible. God is not coming to save you. Right? He's not coming to save you. He's not coming to save your cholo brother who went to goddamn Victory Outreach.
Right.
After he got out of jail, my Victory Outreach, carnal, you know. Shalom, Sister Renal. Oh, been a minute, Sister Renal, the water for jumping in. You know, your carnal who went out and saw, hey, Shalom, Yosef. Shalom, Yahweh, Shimishak, Barakatah, carnal. Good conversation tonight. Stay on. You know, your brother who was who went to the Victory Outreach Center after he got out of jail. They sent him to Father Mahoney. Father Mahoney was like, yeah, come on in. And, you know, took him in. And I'm going to teach you how to make goddamn shirts and la chingada, you know. And took him in, bro. And all of a sudden, you know, now, you know, he's Mexican-American. Now all of a sudden he loves America y la chingada. Because he's being taught like that. What we need to do, that brother, you know, God's not going to save him. Because you know what happens when you become a Christian? This is the scenario of when you become a Christian. When you were a cholo, carnal, you were a gun-toting, weed-smoking, crack-hitting, womanizing, beating woman, you know, and hanging out, getting drunk as vato, right? Bad language, foul, violent homie, right? Then you go to the Catholic Church and the Christian Church and you come out a saint. And now, when they tell you, hey, brother, you know, the I.S.U.P.K, let me tell you something, bro. I don't drink no more. I don't smoke no more. I don't beat my women no more. I'm not a drug dealer no more. You know, I don't use foul language no more. Right. You know what I mean? I don't fight no more. You know what? I'm good right here where I'm at. And this is it. This is where I want to be. I got my, and they walk around with the Bible all the time, carnal. These Victory Outreach, they walk around with the Bible all the goddamn time. Like, you see this, but they walk around with the Bible like, this is my sword. Like, for real, this is my sword. This is my shield. Well, what does that guy say?
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ. Good shield. You know, you got these brothers walking around like that.
Oh, man.
And when you tell these brothers, you know, your carnal is doing like that, well, you should go, you know, you should go to the Victory Outreach Center. But they ain't trying to help nobody, you know. They ain't trying to help nobody. They ain't trying to help their people. You know what I'm saying? I'll tell you what the Lord talks about. He says that we got to go out and help our people. We got to go call. What did Christ do? He said, I'm not here but for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. What did he do? He was out on the street. He was out on the streets of Rome, of all these cities, man, out on a Saturday, speaking to all his people. He wasn't in his house, bro. He wasn't over here hidden away. No, man. He was out in the open calling his people that they might change. That's what we need to do. We need to come out here. We need to call our people that we might change. Well, ISUPK, these brothers, man, when you see them out at camp, people think, man, this guy's out at camp. You know, what the hell? You look at the way he's dressed, bro. You know, he's out at camp Saturday. Oh, I never go out there, bro. But you know what? Let me tell you something. That's the problem with us, man. The problem with us is that we don't want to risk anything. We don't want to take the risk of going out and you know, being embarrassed. We got to be fools for Christ. Right? What is that precept? Kind of paraphrase it if you don't have it.
Yeah,
I got you on there.
I'll find it on, but yeah, it goes to talk about, you know, being fools for Christ. I got this one though. I don't want Matthew 15 and 24 real quick, you know, because you mentioned Christ, like, and who he said he came for.
Right.
And this is what Christ said. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 15, verse 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And that's the thing, man. Like, these vatos that go into the Victory Outreach, man, like, they believe in Cesar Borgia. God. And what the Victory Outreach does, man, is it kills the warrior spirit in our brothers, man. That's what it does, man. It turns hardcore vatos, man, into freaking sissies, you know. And I'm trying to keep it as G-rated as I can, because, you know, Facebook will take the video down. Right. But you know what I'm really trying to say, man. What it turns you into when you go on there, man. Because how you go from being hardcore, you know what I mean, ready to, you know, bang on fools and whatnot, and you go walking around with a Bible. You don't even know what the Bible says.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And let me tell you something. The Lord, what happens to us is exactly what happened to Christ Almighty. We go out there and people don't believe in what we're talking about. Right. People don't want to really step up to what we're doing. People want to, you know, ignore the facts, right? But let me tell you something. You know, even though you don't know this, but this happened to Christ. People didn't believe what he was talking about. People didn't want to go out and do what he was saying. People were embarrassed of what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? People were embarrassed of all that he was out there doing, what he was all about. And I'm gonna show you a precept, right, on what this is, and it's on Matthew 12:46 through 50, right? And you can imagine this. Let me show you what the scenario is like, right? This is what the scenario is like. This is where you gotta understand who you are. and what you're here to do. You cannot come out of jail and go to the Victory Outreach Center and think that God is with you. God is here for the nation of Israel. God is here to save Israel. That's all of us, Black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians.
Right.
If you're interested in knowing about the Bible, right? If you have love for the Bible, if you have love for God, then you have to understand that God is not here just for you. God is not here to pick. He's not like, oh, salvation is just yours. The Christian and Catholic Church has taught you that, but the Bible does not speak about that. Let me see. Why do Muslims believe in Jesus, but why is that not their God? Why do Muslims believe in Jesus, but why is that not their God? Salaki Eduardo, Muslims do not believe in Jesus.
Right.
Muslims do not believe. They believe in
Allah Muhammad,
the Prophet Muhammad. But even the Muslims understand in their Quran, right? In the book of the Quran, I'm going to go back to what I'm talking about. But the book of the Quran, in their own book, it says this: Israel is above even them.
I mean, come on, man.
Even in their book, it says that. It says Israel is above even them. And they know that.
Right.
They know that the Quran mentions Israel, which is us, Black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, are better than even the Arabs.
Right.
And that's in their own book.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I know because I've come against Muslims and I've been like, bro, have you read this part in the Quran? And they'll see it and they'll be like, ooh, damn.
Right.
And I remember one guy was like, oh, man. He had nothing to say. He walked away from us and he was just like, you know what? My respect to you guys because, damn, you guys know the Quran. And that's just, but let's go back to it. Let's go back to, you know, what's happening with us is that we think that salvation is just for us as individuals because Christianity and the Catholics have taught you that. But it's not. And you know what we need to do? What we need to do is come back to Christ. And let me tell you something. Tell me where so I can confirm it with them. Oh, you talk to Muslims, huh? Okay, let's go with this first and now I'll throw you that. I will give it to you right now. But first, let's go to this. Because one of the things that happened is that, you know, the Catholic Church has taught you, you know, to love, everybody and that everybody's going to be saved, right? And the Catholic Church taught you to love La Virgen de Guadalupe, taught you to love everybody, taught you that everybody's going to be saved. But Christ was made a point that the only people that are going to be saved are those that do the will of the Father.
Right.
That's it. Those that follow God's laws, statutes, and commandments. And when I say save, brother, when I use the word save, I'm not talking about the Christian save. I'm not talking about that you're going to die and you're going to become a little angel and go to heaven. That's not what I'm talking about, bro. I'm talking about the destruction that's about to come on America. The destruction that God's about to put on America. You and your loved ones, when you start serving the Lord Almighty, will not have to see that day.
Right.
If you serve the Lord with all your heart and all your might, as it says, you will be exempted from seeing that day. Just the way it happened in Israel. In Egypt, Salakia, in Egypt. In Egypt, the Lord bring all these things out against Egypt. And Israel was right there. Israel was right amongst them. And a lot of us, you know those paintings that I was talking about? We love being in Egypt. Man, there was the taggers, the Mexican taggers in Egypt. They were like, man, I ain't trying to go nowhere. I'm happy tagging these goddamn walls. Bro, I'm an artist in Egypt. They love me because I'm Chaka in Egypt. You know, they didn't want to go nowhere. But you know what? The Lord bring down all this punishment on Egypt. And you know what? They fell to their knees.
Right.
And when God told them, put the blood of the lamb around the door, and not the lamb like, you know, but I mean a real, you know, sheep, put that blood, man, they all did it.
Right.
Because they were like, man, what's happening in Egypt is horrible. Man, I ain't trying to, man, please don't let me go through that. Please, you know. And today, we don't understand, but the Almighty says that America is going to suffer worse than Egypt. What does it say? You're going to seek death and you will not find it.
Dang.
Your eyes are going to melt in their sockets.
Right.
Your tongue is going to burn in your mouth.
Right.
Your skin is going to melt from your bones.
Damn.
That's nuclear. That's a nuclear holocaust that he's talking about.
Right.
That he's going to bring upon America.
Radiation sickness.
Radiation sickness. You're going to roam the land, the wilderness. You're looking where to hide, bro, and you ain't going to find no place. And worse than that, you're going to try and you look at your daughter and your son, your mom and your dad, and you're going to see them going through the same thing that you're going through.
Right.
All those movies that the white man is putting out about nuclear war and stuff, that ain't no lie. That's exactly what's going to happen in America. You know what I mean? So tell me what the world looks like, cause if this universe had so many planets, I can escape to be safe. Oh, no, okay. Yeah, okay, we'll talk about that later. But no, you can't go to another planet.
Right.
You're doomed right here. White man ain't going nowhere, bro. He's going to die. The God is not going to let the white man exist anymore. He's going to destroy this place. There is no other place to go. There is no other place where you can hide. There is no other place. And let me tell you something, Eduardo. I'm going to make this clear. The white man is not going to put your ass on a rocket ship.
Right.
You're the last person who's going to get a ticket to get out of this place.
Right.
Just like me and my brothers.
Yeah.
Ayar, he ain't going to find no goddamn ticket onto spaceships. I'll tell you what they're doing. It's been over 30 years, brother. Think about this, Eduardo. 30 years that the white man has been turning those silos into bomb shelters. Right? Hotels, carnal. They're if you look at punch in silos, bomb shelters, and you'll see that the white man has been converting the silos where the missiles were. Let me tell you something. They've converted them into multiple hotels, man, where you can buy a place to be safe from nuclear war in America. I'm going to ask you, have you gotten that letter that you can buy a place in the silo?
Right, hell nah.
No, hell no, you haven't.
So if I could, just remember, the Bible also says that the Lord's eyes are, 1,000 times brighter than the sun, right?
Absolutely.
So you can escape to another planet. You can think you can go find some safe haven in a faraway galaxy but you're not going to escape the Lord. The Lord will get you right there, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So the only way to be safe, right, to be good is and not suffer, that is to come back to serving the Lord and be in good standings with Him. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And you being an Israelite, you got that chance. You know what I mean? Absolutely. These are the nations. Esau does not have that chance, man. What is it? The Zondervan's Bible Dictionary lets it be known that Edom or Esau, which is the oppressor, the colonizer, has no chance at salvation. Absolutely. They're the only nation out of all of the nations that won't be saved.
Right.
And here's another thing, and this is why this is why we say the oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of, because he paints this picture of what salvation is, thinking that it's something beautiful where we go into the clouds and the heavens with these naked baby angels and whatnot. But salvation is literally that. It's salvation. And who needs saving out of everybody in this planet, man? We need that saving. Right. Because we are getting eaten by all these other nations, man. We are an oppressed people, man. Like I said, man, we over here loving the damn Dodgers when the Dodgers kicked our people out out of the Chavez Ravine and stripped us of our own self-sufficient town. You know what I'm saying? We're over here loving America when America demonstrates its clear hatred of us, man. Right. When you got brothers getting lynched at the border, man. Right. When you got towns named Thousand Oaks that was named for lynching Mexicans, man. We over here loving these towns, wanting to join America, man. So who needs saving? We need saving, man.
Absolutely.
We're suffering in this place, man.
Damn right. And let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something, Eduardo. When you talk about these things that we're talking about the silos and no place to go out of this place for the destruction, think about it. Just the way the Lord says He's going to destroy these people, He also talks about that these people that we're talking about that are going to be destroyed, that these people are going to hide under the rocks. They're going to try to hide themselves from the destruction that God's about to bring on them. Because, man, the Lord sees into the future. It's called prophecy. Right. And He prophesies that these people are going to hide themselves under the rocks,
Right.
under the earth, to avoid the destruction. Here's the beautiful part. The beautiful part is that he also says that us Israelites, that he's going to give us a new body.
Right.
And that he's going to use us to come back to earth and hunt these people down.
Right. Right.
And bring them out of their hiding places. And we're going to bring war on them. We're
Right.
going to come and get them the way they came and got us. The way they went into Africa, right, into West Africa, and hunted down the Judite brothers and put them on the ships and bring them back as slaves. We're going to get the opportunity to do the same thing to them.
Right.
The way the Cortez and the Spaniards came and hunted down the Aztecs, the Mexica, the Toltecas, and all of us, and chopped us down and sliced us up and gave us poison rations and blankets with chicken pox. We get to do the same thing to them.
Right.
The way they came and destroyed the nation of the Native American Indian and took everything from them and made them drunks and made them into nothing. Guess what? We get the opportunity to do the same thing to them. And you know what? That's worth more than trying to buy a ticket off of this planet.
Right.
That's worth more than trying to buy a ticket to live in the underground silos that they're making today.
Right.
Let me tell you something. If they were to tell me which one would I rather pick, well, I'd rather pick to come back and make that happen.
Right.
I'd rather choose to come back and bring vengeance on those people for what they did to me and my ancestors.
Right.
That's more to me. I'd rather do that. Man, you asked if the earth is flat. I don't give a damn if the earth is flat, round, triangle, square. If I get to do that, brother, I don't care what shape the earth is.
Right.
I would rather put my money on the Most High God and His promise to me to become a true warrior and soldier. And what is that? A soldier of fortune, a mercenary.
Right.
Right? To take on that job, to bring justice to my people. Carnal, I would rather do that.
Right.
I'd rather do that. You know what? The Bible says vengeance isn't religious. Well, guess what? I'm not a religious person.
Right. We are not a religion, carnal.
You know what the Bible also says? Vengeance is of the Lord.
Right.
That's exactly what that says. Vengeance is of the Lord. If the Lord chooses to take vengeance on these people, He'll choose the way to take this vengeance.
Right.
And you know what? I'm 100% man. The way things are in this country today, the way they treat Hispanic people, the way they have our children locked up in the detention centers, dying, the way my brothers in the prison system, in the perpetual punishment system of America, the way they are, carnal, the way they treat us at our jobs, the way that, I know you live in California, the way we live every day, we work every day to pay a goddamn rent.
Right.
We work our whole check. One whole check goes to paying your rent, bro.
Right.
The other check goes to paying bills.
Right.
Your gas prices has gone completely up. You have no opportunity to ever buy a goddamn house the way things are going.
Right.
And they make sure to push your people out of neighborhoods for they can build them up. I'm talking about where's the stadiums being made right here in
SoFi Stadium.
SoFi Stadium, right? We're talking about the Hollywood Highland Park, Lincoln Heights, East LA. You know, I'm talking about North Hollywood, Pacoima. These areas that were once all Hispanic places are now the white man's paradise.
Right.
And we're being pushed out further and further and further into the deserts.
Right.
Into San Bernardino, into Hesperia, into these areas where we have to go out there and barely cut it short to live. They're really going through us and making sure that we don't prosper. But how about the Asians, bro? How about the Asian people? How about the Armenians? How about all those people? They're prospering very well in America. But your people are living in poverty. Black, Hispanics, Native American Indians are barely making it in this country.
Right.
Do we really want to continue to live in this condition? On the boot of them? Absolutely, man. This right here is our Egypt.
Right.
This right here is our captivity.
Right.
This right here is where we're barely surviving.
If I could, I want this right here is our hell. hell is a condition, right? Because the brother, mentioned hell. Hell, the white man's in the state of heaven, and we're in our state of hell because he's free. He can do whatever he wants and live lavishly and enjoy the fruits of his labor. Meanwhile, us, we gotta work twice as hard just to make our rent and barely do that, man, and barely get by with that. We can barely feed ourselves, man.
God.
We're dependent on this devil, for the basic necessities, man.
Absolutely. We in hell. Sister Renee is absolutely right, man. We live in hell, man. You go to the store, man. Come on, man. How many videos don't we see all the time when these people are just being vicious and they're being racist against us, man?
Right.
And then they're turning our own people into them.
Right.
Our own people are turning into our oppressors.
Right.
They're becoming our slave masters. They're becoming our, what do they call those? I can't think of that name. The
taskmaster.
The taskmaster. They're becoming our taskmasters, man. That's what they're becoming. So let me tell you something. In comparison, or if I have a choice, let me tell you something, man. I would rather be in this truth. I'd rather be here because this has an outcome, and the outcome is better here because I get to, how could I say? I want to say the word vengeance, but vengeance is of the Lord, so I don't want to use that word. But hey, if the Lord gives me that and hands me that, I'll take it. Go ahead.
So to the brother right here, Eduardo, right? Am I wrong to want justice for the crimes done into my people? You know what I'm saying? For our kids locked up in those cages, are you telling us that it's wrong to want that, carnal? Don't you want justice for the misdeeds that have happened to your people? Vengeance is of the Lord, right? When the Lord's saying for us He's saying for us not to go harm the oppressor. We're not in the I.S.U.P.K. We're not advocating anyone go harm them. But what we are saying is to separate your spirit and your soul from America, to stop loving the oppressor, man, and love your brother as yourself, which is another so-called Hispanic, which is another so-called Native American, which is another so-called black. Love that brother as yourself and stop loving the white man.
Let me tell you something. I get Eduardo Montero's point, but we're here today. We're at this point. That scenario that I gave you of going out and finding the white man and pulling him out of the caves and getting vengeance on him, you right. That's not on me, because that scenario is not happening yet. Everything takes stages. Everything takes stages. The stage we're in right now is this one. The Lord has chosen us, right, to do his work. The work he's chosen us to do is to come here today and call our people, that we might bring our people, that they might serve the Most High Christ. That's our job right now. Our job is to call our people. What we're doing today is gathering what's known as the 144,000. If you don't know what the 144,000 is, it's 144,000 chosen people that the Lord is going to call upon to be his warriors. If you serve the Most High the way you should, then you're in line to be of the 144,000. This is not for everybody. That vengeance scene that I gave you is not for everybody.
So, I got the precept that the brother's asking about.
It's for 144,000 chosen warriors, soldiers that the Most High is going to pick to do that work. We're here only to call on our brothers.
Right.
I don't know. You might be one of the 144,000 chosen ones. You might not think about it. You might be like, I'd never do that. But that's not up to you. It's not up to me. I said I want to be one, but I might not be that one. But let me tell you, it's very simple. The Lord is a man of war.
Right.
That's in the Bible. The
right.
Lord is a man of war. The Lord has destroyed and bring war against all the nations. Actually, the whole Bible, all the Old Testament is about the Lord bringing war against nations. If you think that the Lord is not a man of war, you have not read your Bible. The Lord has called prophets to destroy nations. King David was a warrior.
Right.
He destroyed nations. The Lord is a man of war. Go ahead and read that.
It's like it. So to the brother Eduardo, here's where it says in the Bible what the Adawan was bringing out, what Al-Shakazakia was bringing out, right? This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 16, verse 16. Behold, I will send for many fishers. That's what we're doing right now in the ISUPK.
Go ahead.
Right now we're fishing.
Read it again for him.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 16, verse 16. Behold, I will send for many fishers.
So he will send for many fishers. What are fishers? People who go and bring people.
Right.
You're going to bring them. Go ahead.
Saith the Lord, and they shall fish them. And after will I send for many hunters.
Man, he's going to fish for people. That's where we're at today, Montero. Today we're fishing.
Right.
Me and all my brothers, we fishing, man.
Right.
We fishing those people that then what are they going to become?
I will send for many hunters.
And then they'll become hunters. What's a hunter? What is the Lord talking about when he fishes people and then he makes them into hunters?
Right. So like
what are those hunters?
And go ahead. More.
Go ahead.
And they shall hunt them.
And they shall what?
Hunt them.
And they shall hunt them. What's a hunter? Think about it, Montero. What is God talking about here? First, we're going to fish. That's what I'm doing today. I'm fishing. Eduardo, you're on my hook. All the brothers are on the hook. We're all listening. Hey, I'm on the hook. I hear my brothers talk. I hear the captains talk. I hear the generals talk. I'm on that hook. Man, I'm hooked on hearing this. Why is it a hook? Because you're trapped, brother. Estás agarrado. Estás enganchado. And I'm hearing. And they got me. I'm like, yeah. What am I going to become from being hooked? Man, I'll become a hunter. Go ahead.
And they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill.
Man, and we shall hunt them from every mountain and every hill. Let me tell you where those silos are at. Those silos are on the mountains. Those silos are on those hills. That's where you find silos, brother. They don't put silos in cities. They put silos out in the mountains and out in the hills. Go ahead.
And here's the silo part in the scriptures.
Go ahead.
And out of the holes of the rocks.
Out of the what?
The holes of the rocks.
Out of the holes of the rocks. Listen, Eduardo, where do they make those silos at? They make them in mountains. What is a mountain? But a big piece of rock.
Right.
And they make silos there. And we're going to be hunters. After we're finished, we're going to become the hunters that are going to go into the hole, bring those people out of the holes of the rocks. You got more? Go ahead.
For my eyes are upon all their ways.
Man, because the Lord's eyes are upon all their ways. Everything they did, carnal, when they robbed, raped, and murdered the Native American Indian, when they bring the Judite brothers from West Africa and bring them into slavery, when they went into the Aztec kingdom, the Mexicas and all the indigenous people of Latin America and robbed, raped, and murdered and destroyed us, the Lord's eyes saw everything, carnal. Go ahead.
For my eyes are upon all their ways. They are not hid from my face.
Man, they are not hid from the Lord's face. Let me tell you something, brother. We ain't saying this. The Bible's saying
right.
The white man thinks that he's getting away with everything.
Right.
They think they did everything and all they got to do is erase history. Man, we can be okay. Just erase history.
Right.
Don't teach it in the schools.
Right.
Don't tell it, but don't talk about it. You know what they tell you when you talk about racism? Oh, that's in the past.
Right.
When you talk about all this, get over it, bro. It's in the past. The Lord has not forgotten.
Right.
It is not hidden from his face. He knows exactly who these wicked people are. Go ahead.
Neither is there iniquity hid from my eyes.
Neither is there iniquity hid from their eyes. You know what the word iniquity is? Man, that is something terrible that you did.
Right.
You didn't just steal, bro. Like, stealing from your mom, that's not iniquity, carnal.
Right.
But slicing a little kid up just for the hell of it, that's iniquity, bro. Raping young women, selling them for sex slaves at the age of 12 and 11, that's iniquity, carnal. Giving poison rations and blankets with chicken pox on purpose to diminish a people, man, that's iniquity, carnal.
Right.
That's wicked. Giving crack to our communities, man, that's wicked. That's an iniquity, bro. That's what that is. Taking our land and our people. That's iniquity.
Right.
Go ahead.
And first, I will recompense their iniquity and their sin double.
Man, he's going to recompense their iniquity and their sin. He's going to double, carnal. He's going to double that of everything they did to us. It's going to be double for them. Is the God a man of war? Man, God is a man of war.
Right.
He's going to bring, man, disaster on these people. Man,
right.
Let me tell you, the things I'm talking about, I can't even fathom what he's going to do to these people.
Right.
Go ahead.
Khan. Because they have defiled my land. They have filled mine inheritance with the carcasses of their detestable and abominable things.
Man, they have taken us. We're his precious things.
Right.
And they have filled us with abominable things, man. They have made us done things and seen things that, you know what, are not for us. Today, you know what an abominable thing is that they're doing? They're making your children transvestites.
Right.
They're bringing that LGBT like if it was nothing, carnal.
Right.
You think the man isn't? Do you think the Lord isn't a man of war? Man, you got something else coming. You think he's not going to use us to kill these people? Man, you need to really pick up that Bible and not only read it, but understand what it means.
Right.
You know why you ain't never heard this before? Because you've been going to the Christian churches.
Right.
Because you've been going to the Catholic Church. Because you've been believing what they tell you. Let me tell you something, man. This stuff is not for them. They don't want you to know that this is going to happen. The Catholic Church is all Edomites.
Right.
The Spaniards are all Edomites. The Christian Church, all Edomites. I'll tell you, the Seventh-day Adventists, Elena White, an Edomite. The Baptist Church, an Edomite. The Methodist Church, an Edomite. All these churches that are Christian are all Edomite people.
Right.
That's why they don't read these verses. You got a little bit more?
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, there's a little...
That's why they don't read these verses. That's why they don't want you to know about this. They do not read this in church. You know what they tell you in church? Love your brother.
Right.
Love everybody. But you go there and it's all white people in the church.
Right.
Give your money, give your tip to the church. Man, that's
in the name of Jesus.
In the name of blood of Jesus. As long as you come on Sunday, you will be forgiven. That's all they teach us. But
Right.
they will never teach you that God is gonna destroy them for what they did to them. That's what it is.
Eduardo Montero, damn right they gay, man. Damn
Yeah.
right they are. They man, you can go back to the history of the Greeks and the Romans and how they lived. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where all that comes from them, man. They're pedophiles, they're homosexuals, they're transsexual, they're all that, man.
Right.
That's their style and their way of living, man.
Absolutely.
Comes from them heathen nations, man.
Absolutely. And so but what you really got to think about is, they do all these things. They got all these things on them. They got all these things going on. But what does that mean to us?
Right.
Where do we fit into this picture? Well, this is where we fit in. Where we fit in is where we come together and we start to re-educate ourselves. Rethink of everything. We gotta come new. What does the Bible say? You gotta be born again.
Right.
You gotta be born again. How are you born again, carnal? Very simple. Drop that education that you used to know.
Right.
Decolonize your mind and free yourself.
That's
from
right.
what you used to know. And become new again. How do you become new again? Real simple, carnal. This is the way you become new. You start to listen to what's really going on. You start to look and you start to see, where is the truth at? Well, here you go. Here is the truth right here. Here is the truth in a platter for you to look at, for you to know. And it's only here in the ISUPK. Eduardo, you ain't going to find it nowhere else. Ain't no one on this planet talking about this.
So, like, sir, but I just want to address this brother's point right here. Eduardo, Catholicism does believe that. You know how they believe that? Because they're molesting little boys, man.
Absolutely,
that
bro.
father, whatever the heck that animal is, he's molesting and touching little boys. And they think that you can't get married and sleep with a woman. So they do believe that, carnal. They just try to act like they don't, but they do. They believe it's okay to be gay.
Absolutely. And let me tell you something, man. That's right now with that whole, what they do. But think about it, carnal. Think about the Catholic Church, because that's what you're talking about. Think about what we were talking about earlier about the missions and what they did to the children in the missions and what they did to the old people in the missions and how they forced them by death and murder to become Catholics. How they cut their hair, made them forget their own cultures to become part of their cultures. They did that to all the Latino Indians. Or I'm calling them Indians, but I know that's not the name. But all of our indigenous people. Think about it. All of us. And you know what? They've taught us the one thing that the Lord has told us not to do. They've implemented it in our people, in our families, to love idols, to love other gods. You know what? The Catholic Church went and said, well, these Aztec Indians, well, they're worshiping other gods. They're sacrificing to other gods. They did the same thing right there.
God.
They came and bring the Virgen de Guadalupe, and your mom still worships her to this day. San Martin de Porres, Santo Niño de Antoche. Man, I could go down the list. Me and Ayar go down the list of all these goddamn saints. God. And you know what? We're worshiping idols of stone, of wood. We're worshiping all these idols. If the Aztecs were bad, we even worse.
So, Salaki, if I could to address the brothers, because he mentions my carnal, what I'm talking about is the institution. Your mom is just, she grew up, forced to follow that religion. But I'm talking about the religion as an institution supports homosexuality. You know what I mean? That's what we're getting at. Of course, there's individuals that don't agree with it, but they're still in that church and they don't want to get out. You know what I mean? Seeing all that going on, man. They just released that article that since the 1950s, was it? Mm-hmm. Over how many kids were being molested. You know what I mean? So yeah, your mom might not believe that, but it doesn't change the fact that as an institution, the Catholic Church is a homosexual organization, man.
And let me tell you something. The reason I'm gonna tell you something, man. The reason why this is happening to us, the reason why your mom is Catholic, we're not saying your mom molested anybody, man. My dad was a Catholic. He didn't molest nobody. My mom's a Catholic. My grandma, they never molested anybody. That's a punishment that came upon us. It's a punishment that came upon us because we walked away from God's law, statutes, and commandments. And he said that because we walk away from his law, statutes, and commandments, we were going to worship other gods. We were going to worship gods that we didn't know before, that our fathers didn't know. David Ortiz, Shalom, carnal. Shalom, ISUPK. We were going to worship other gods as a punishment. Because we choose to worship other gods, the Lord was going to make us like that. We were going to be forced to go away from him. And he was going to turn his back on us because we turned our back on him. And you know what happens when the Lord turns his back on you? Exactly what we're going through today. When you no longer have the covering of the Most High, carnal, man, you're going to get AIDS, carnal. Your children are going to be homos. They're going to be violated. They're going to be touched by these other nations. You're going to worship these gods that don't do nothing for you. They're going to do all these things to you that you don't imagine. They're going to rob, rape, murder, and destroy your people. Think about it. What a great nation. The Aztecs, the Mexica, the Toltecas, all our people, the Mayans. What a great nation we were. Man, we were far advanced in everything. Man, we were the greatest nation on earth. We were a true civilization. But since we chose to worship other gods, the Lord took it all from us. And made us slaves to a nation that we did not know. You got it?
I got it right here.
Go ahead. Here you go. Let me read it for you in the Bible.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
Man, the Lord scattered us among all people, carnal. We're scattered all across the world. We're everywhere. Mexicans are fucking everywhere, bro. Salvadoreños are everywhere. Blacks are slaves to everybody, carnal. We're scattered. We no longer have a land. We don't have a kingdom no more. Mexico is not run by Mexicans. El Salvador is not run by Salvadoreños. El Salvador's president is Palestinian or Lebanese, Salakia, Lebanese. Mexico is run by Spain, by corporations. All of Latin America is run by other corporations. It's no longer run by our people. ¿Qué dijo a Zapata? tierra y libertad. We didn't get either one. We didn't
Right.
get ni tierra ni libertad. We lost it all. Because
Right.
why? Because we turned against the Lord. Go ahead.
From the one end of the earth, even unto the other.
Man, we all over the place. From one end of the earth, even unto the other. Go ahead.
And there thou shalt serve other gods.
Man, now we're here and we're serving other gods, carnal. Now we're no longer serving the Lord. Now it's a punishment. Now you can go and worship Tlaloc. Now
Right.
you can go and worship Jesus, white Jesus. Now you can go and worship La Virgen María, San Martín de Porres, what's the La Santa Muerte, Malverde. Go and worship all these gods that you don't even know who they are. Go ahead.
Whether neither thou nor thy fathers have known.
Man, and you don't know these gods. You know how you don't know these gods? Let me bring them over here. You know how you don't know these gods? Because you think La Virgen de Guadalupe is de Mexico. And she's not, carnal. La Virgen de Guadalupe comes from a region in Spain known as Extremadura. And there was this painter named Aquino. What was... Aquino de I.S.U.P.K de Aquino. I.S.U.P.K de Aquino drew that image of La Virgen de Guadalupe and gave it to Cortez, and Cortez bring it to Mexico, and the indigenous people had never seen a goddamn image of a white woman with the sun on her head, and they worshipped her, not knowing who the hell she was.
Right.
And they took that image anyways. They bring the image of La Virgen de Guadalupe before they even bring Jesus Christ, that white Jesus, to Mexico. The first one to appear was La Virgen de Guadalupe. Continue.
Even wood and stone.
Even wood and stone. That's it, huh?
That's it.
Even wood and stone. Today, ¿qué es la cruz de madera? No le dicen así los sinaloenses. Uy, que la cruz de madera y la chingada. How about the stone? Now you worship stone and you worship wood, carnal.
Right.
Now you worship these things that aren't even yours.
Right.
Eduardo says, why aren't you helping those people? Teach them the truth. I've tried telling my mom the worst religion ever is Catholicism. Eduardo, I'm about to tell you something. I am teaching those people.
Right.
Carnal, I'm teaching you.
Right.
You're my people.
Right.
When you say, why am I not teaching my people? I am teaching my people. What the words that are coming out of my mouth is love for my people, carnal.
Right.
I'm teaching David Ortiz. I'm teaching Eduardo Montero. I'm teaching my brothers that are Latinos, Hispanic, Mexicanos, Mexicas. I don't care what the fuck you are. Right? I'm teaching you that, brother, we need to come together.
Right.
We need to have shows like this. We need to speak to our people about the tragedies that happen to them. And for that, our children don't have to go through this. I am a teacher for my people. I am doing what you're asking. I am teaching those that will listen.
That's
because
right.
My mom, carnal, just like your mom, won't listen.
Like
my dad,
mom.
just
My
like your dad,
man,
won't
they
listen.
will not
My
listen.
carnales, bro, they won't listen.
Right.
They don't want to hear me. Man, El Primera de Juan, 1 John says, you did not choose me. I chose you.
Right.
That you might be a prophet. Carnal, that's us. That's us right there. Most High is not choosing your mom, carnal. Most High is not choosing your dad or my brother or my uncle or any of us, carnal. He's not choosing. And Salakia for your dad, but I'm not throwing it just at your dad, carnal. I'm, in general, when I speak, carnal, I want you to know that I'm speaking in general for all of us, carnal, for all of us. Man, I speak because the Lord has called us, me and my carnal right here, and Ayar and Tabaganaz and all the brothers here. Man, He's called us to speak to our people. So you're right. When you say, why aren't you telling people? I am, carnal. I'm telling this brother, Pino Oliveras, hey, carnal, you know what? God thinks you're better than everybody on the face of this earth.
Right.
And I can show you in the Bible where it says that. I can show you in the Bible where God said, Pino Oliveras es más que cualquier otra persona en la faz de la tierra.
Right.
That you're a special people, more than the Asians, more than the Chinese, more than the Arabs, more than any of them. He prefers you over everybody. But you know what? We don't want to listen. We want to stay connected to our oppressor. We want to live it. We want to be Mexican American. That's a slap in the face. You have that?
Right. Come, sir. I got it right here. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God.
So he says we're a holy people, bro. The word holy means separate. You're not like everybody else.
Right.
You're not like the oppressor, bro. You're not like white people. You're not like Asians. You're different, carnal. That's why, like we were talking at the beginning, right? The paintings in Egypt, the murals on the walls of Egypt are the same murals that you see in Central America. The same pictures that you see, the same murals that you see in the Tenochtitlan, in all these places. These are the same ones. Why? Because only a special people can make these. Only a special people can go and get a goddamn spray can and make art out of it. You know what I'm saying? Continue reading.
Khan. The Lord thy God had chosen thee to be a special people unto himself. O Salakia. Above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
Okay, so we're better than any person that's upon the face of the earth. We're better than everybody. We are a special people. Okay, why are you changing their names? If I ever believed you and followed you, I'd never change my name. Okay, Eduardo Montero, that's a legit question. Why do you change your name, right? He's alive, to me he's dead, I hate him with all my life. Okay, that's a personal issue with your pops, carnal, you know. That's something that you got to let go, and that's something else away from that. But let's go into the name change. Why is Ayar Ayar? Why is Malakma Malakma?
Right.
Why am I Kazakh Yar? Why don't we use our real names? I'll tell you why. Because at some time, carnal, you have to let go. You have to let go of the oppression that you've been through.
So, sir, if I could,
Go ahead.
this is what I want to say to the brother, to Karnak. These are our real names. The names we got right now: Officer Kazak Yad, Malakma, Ayar, Halak. These are our real names. And what are we changing, man? That slave name you got. Eduardo Montero, where do you think that name comes from, carnal? That's that comes from the Spaniards. Our names weren't that originally. Those names were forced on us. Montero, what does that go back to? That goes back to Hacienda, right? The owner of Hacienda that named our ancestors after him. Just like the way they did to our Judite brothers, where they forced them to have their last name. That's why they had the name Johnson and Phillips. Those aren't our actual names, carnal. Those were names forced on us. So yeah, you're saying your mom, right? But that name, right, Montero, right, was forced on your mom's side of the family. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just like your father's last name that you have, you got your issues with. That last name, that Spanish last name, was forced on it because we're not Spaniards, right? We can agree that we don't come from Spain, man. In the summertime, like the other one always brings out, you go to Mexico to visit your family. You don't go to Spain. Spain isn't coming to help us. Spain isn't coming to free those kids in those cages. Spain don't give a damn about us because they know we're not them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You know, and I'm gonna tell you, being I don't know what part of Mexico you're from, but si eres de Michoacán, Purupeche, or si eres de Centroamérica, whatever you come from. So let me tell you what it is that we used to name our children depending on how we used to see them. And the reason why you would name your child a certain way is because you were hoping that your child would grow up to honor the name that you gave him. Right? A los reyes se le decían Tlotani, right?
Right.
Tlotani, and the word Tlotani means alguien que habla, one who speaks. That's what the Nawa name Tlotani means, one who speaks. So if my name was Tlotani Kazak Yad, my name, or I'll say it in Nahual. If my name is Tlotani Chikawak Miatl, that means the one who speaks, strong hands. El que habla, las manos fuertes. Isn't that name make more sense? If I say I am a Tlotani Chikawak Miatl, I'm telling you, yo soy uno que habla. I'm one who speaks. I'm strong hands. So that makes more sense than my slave name.
Right.
My slave name made no goddamn sense.
Right.
Like, why am I called this? That's not even a name.
Right.
Eduardo, I'm from Jalisco too. I'm
Right,
from Zapopan, Jalisco, you know. Yo soy de Zapopan. So our families weren't named after Spaniard names, after saints. You're named after a saint. Por
Right.
eso en Mexico, they say, es el día de tu santo. Well, what is el día de tu santo? If you look at a Mexican calendar, I don't know, you ever seen those Mexican calendars they used to sell in Mexico? Every single day has the name of a saint. Man, I'm going to bring that. You know what? I'm going to bring that for the next show.
Come.
I'm going to try to find that calendar. There's these Mexican calendars that used to get in Mexico. You know that calendar, carnal. IR, you know that calendar? The one that had the Aztec woman, desmayadota on that Aztec guy?
Oh, right.
Right? And they used to sell at the... Ibas a la marqueta y te daban los calendarios gratis. You know, they used to give you free calendars and it had the Aztec woman. Beautiful calendars, bro. Like bomb-ass calendars, you know. And... But if you looked at the calendar on the date one, every little block, every day had a day for the saint.
Right.
So like if your name was Santo Jesus, your birthday, el día de tu santo landed on December 25th, en el día de Jesús. Y luego había día de Santa María, día de Ortiz, día de David, día de Eduardo, and they have different names, you know what I mean? They'd have different names for all the saints, you know? And that's how we got our names.
Right.
We got our names because the Spaniards named us after them. And they gave their names as if they were saints.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They would say Santo Cortés.
So, One, what's the saying that the colonizer says? Kill the Indian, save the man?
Save the man. Exactly. So... David, I'm Yakanan in Hebrew. Okay, yeah. What David? How do you say David? Dawada. David, your name in Hebrew is Dawada.
Right.
That's David in the Hebrew. Dawada. Yakanan. Okay. Anyways, I know that Dawada means David in the Hebrew. But let's go back to this. So we're given in Mexicans, Hispanics are given their names in the names of the saints of the Spaniards. And the saints are so-called conquistadores that came to Mexico and they turned them into saints. There was I'm trying to think of that priest, here in California. What was his name? Father, what's this guy's name? The guy who made all the missions. It starts with an S. I can't think of his name. But anyways, the guy who started the missions, they're trying to make him a saint. They're trying to canonize him as a saint. Thank you, Halak. Junipero Serra. That's his name. So they're trying to canonize Junipero Serra as a saint. In the future, your sister, when she's older and she's a Catholic, she's going to name one of her children Junipero.
Right.
Or Serra. They say, what's your name? My name is Junipero. Why are you naming him like that? I'm going to name him after the saint of California.
Right.
You know? And was he really a saint? Hell no, he wasn't a saint. You know what he was? He was a demon for the California Native Indian.
The devil that the Bible
the Bible speaks of. That's what he really was. You know what I mean? So when you think about that, that's what they really were, man.
Right.
You know? So no... our names, you can't have a name like Eduardo Montero. You can't have a name like David Ortiz. You can't have those names. You have to let go of who you are and become the person that you're going to be.
Right.
And when you do get a name, then you got to fulfill that name.
Right.
You have to make sure that name is honored. Now you have a second chance in life.
Right.
What David used to do, whatever your Dawada, let's say you do get the name Dawada, you get the name Dawada and your new name Dawada will fulfill what David couldn't.
Right.
If your name is Eduardo and let's say you get a name like, I don't know, some name, you're going to fulfill that name. Ayar is fulfilling the name that's been given to him.
Right.
He's not going to do the old Ayar. He's not going to do whatever his name was in the world. Because if he still had the name that was in the world, man, I've heard the stories of Ayar.
So like, because the brother asked what his name was, I'm going to tell you what the name of Eduardo Montero is, carnal. The name Eduardo Montero is a slave name.
Exactly.
That's what that is.
That's what that means, slave. Eduardo Montero means esclavo de Montero. That's what that means. So, you know, David Ortiz, my real name is Juan David. Okay, well, Dawada, you know, that's your name. But, you know, you come into the truth. They give you a name. You never know what your name is going to be.
Right.
Your name is given to you depending on your character,
right.
how you are, you know, what you do.
You
know, like, they gave me the name Strong Hands because when they need work done, I'm always like, I'll build stuff, brother. I'll build. I put the whole school together. Basically, me and my brother, we went there. We knocked that whole thing in no time.
Right.
We built walls. We did a floor. We did everything, man. We like right away knocked it down. When they need stuff, bam, they put me down. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. So at some point, you have to let go of who you were and become who you're gonna be. And Eduardo, don't take it, you know, we're not trying to, you know, push it on anybody or push anything. You know, I understand at some point I was the same way. You know, that's my name. My dad gave me that name. My mom gave me my uncle. That was my uncle's name. Okay, whatever. But now I see different. I've changed the way I see things. My perspective is no longer about me. My perspective is about my people. The things I speak about are not about what I did or what I do.
Right.
The things I speak about are what's happening to my people.
Right.
The things I speak about is how can I bring warriors into this circle that might help me push this truth, that we might become Issachar again. That's what we need, carnal. We need Issachar. We need our tribe. We need the Mexican Issachar tribe and Zebulon. We need to come together and be a force. La fuerza hace la unión.
Right.
That's what we need here. We need the force here.
Right.
We need true warriors to hang out, to be together, to be one. No matter what part of a country you're in.
Right.
We need to communicate. Yashakar Ban Yashakar lives in, where is Rio Grande?
Right.
You know, but yet, man, he's right next door.
Right.
I do a show with him every Tuesday.
Right.
And you know what? We write together, man. We speak all the time. We're together, man. I can't wait to see this brother at the Passovers. As Ayar, every time I see him at the Passovers. You know, we hang out, nos echamos nuestros tequilazos, our music, we chill, la raza se junta. And you know what? Just the way the brothers, Judah hang out, man, so do we.
Right.
We come together and they're like, oh, they're the Mexicans, man.
Right.
You know, Ayar had a good one. We went to a Passover once.
Oh, come on.
And I had what did I get? I get a Malibu. No, I went and rented a Malibu. And we came out of that driveway, Raza style, bumping Chalino. Whoa, boy. And we had the generals were right next to us, and they seen us roll up, but we didn't know. And they were like, man, we saw those Mexicans, man, acting uppity. Goddamn, acting uppity. But you know what? They gave us props. Hardcore. They were like, who were those, man? They were hardcore Mexicans, man. Hardcore. They said we were hardcore. They were like, damn, they acting Mexican, man. You know, that's us right there. Imagine, you know, when Raza gets together, like when we used to go to the clubs and we had our little clica, you know, our little Raza, we all went to the club together, man. It was like, man, that's a special thing right there. Like, we together, you know, we all won. And that's what we need here. We need to all be one. We need to all come together and we need to all be one again.
Right.
We need to be what we are naturally. You know? We need to be what we are naturally all the time. Cuando nos juntamos, man, you'll see us once a year, but you know we were there.
Right.
Like, you'll go to the Passover and you're like, yeah, Kazagyad, Ayar, Malagma, Lahab, they were there, man. They make their impact all the time. And you know, we're going to have our annual cookout in Las Vegas.
Right.
Coming up real quick. Shalom, Stephanie Montano. Shalom. We're gonna have our cookout out here in Las Vegas. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? I hope Ayar shows up. I hope Yashakar shows up. Montero, I hope you show up for this cookout. You know, we're going to have a great time. We're going to show what Mexicans really are like. You know what I mean? And we want to make it better, you know, like we're already thinking, man, I've always said that, man, we need to get a goddamn Grupo Norteño. You know, we need to have a Grupo Norteño just for us, you know what I mean? David, man, you're invited to come down to Vegas and hang out with us just the 3 days, man. You know, it's kind of like cuando ibas a Mexico to visit your cousins and your family. It was once a year that you went out to Mexico to visit your family. You know what I mean?
Right.
But man, unforgettable. Toda la pinche noche, una desvelada. You know, la alumbrada, la llanta, quemaban una llanta, no? It would last all night, la llanta, quemando la llanta. You be out there all night pisteando, you know, under the stars, bro. No lights, no street lights. El rancho, a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Memorable. Like, those are the greatest times for me, bro. My greatest times was going back to El Rancho and visiting my family, bro. Every year, it was like, I can't wait till next year to come and do it again. The hardest part of Passover, just like those days, was leaving.
Right.
That's the hardest part. When time is flying and, oh man, it's almost time to go. Damn, I really don't want to go. I want to hang out with the brotherhood. I want to be out here. I remember this year, man, I didn't miss a single place. I went to every single place brothers were, man. I tried to go the hotel all night long. I wasn't even at the hotel. I had rented a house, but I wasn't even at the house. Why? Because I'm trying to stay. You know what? I'm trying to stay with the brothers, bro. I'm trying to stay with the brothers. Even tonight, ya son las 12.
Damn.
You know, and I'm here talking because Ayar's on, because David's on, because Yosef's on, because the sisters are on, because Malakma's here at my house, and we just here chilling and we talking, chopping it up back and forth, and you know, that's the way it is. Malakma, what do you think?
Khan, sir. And this is what I'll say to the brother Eduardo, carnal. Hey man, keep tuning into our classes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you to get a good understanding of what we're saying, right, and what the Bible's saying, and you know what I mean. Tune in, carnal. Keep tuning in, man, and you gonna get what we're trying to say and why we say it.
Good, absolutely. And let me tell you, man, and that's what it's all about, man. It's all about coming together. It's all about being one. And you know what? I heard that the Passover is in Miami.
Right.
Man, the Passover's in Miami, carnal. Oh man, that's gonna be heavy. But you know, right around the corner, the 11th of November. We got the cookout for California. Right. That's all of us out here.
Right.
Cookout for California out in Vegas. Oh man, last year it was good time last year. And this year we're gonna make it better, man. We're gonna change it up a little bit. We're gonna have that carne asada. We're gonna do the whole 9 yards. It's gonna be 3 days of hanging out and not worrying about nothing in the world, but just chilling with the homies. You know what I mean? Just chilling with everybody, hanging out. That's what we want to make it like. You know what I mean? That's what we wanted. That's what he wanted to be like, man. Just like Malakma said, man. Eduardo, man, come into the classes, man. Ask questions. All your questions are legit,
right? Yeah.
Every question you got is legit. They all have an answer through the Bible. You know, and man, don't ever feel like, oh man, you know, I'm gonna come against you. You don't come against us, bro. We all come against this truth at one point or another.
Right.
We all got something to come against, you know, for this truth. But that's the way you find your way through it. That's the way you get through it. And then once you understand exactly what it is, then it's on and cracking. Then you start to really, you know, communicate with the truth and bringing it into you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yosef, yeah, it is at Cocoa Beach. Is that where it's going to be?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's in Florida.
Yeah, I know it's in Florida, man.
Yeah,
Man, I'm already saving my ends.
Oh, man.
Hell yeah. Florida, bro, you know. We've been everywhere in Florida now. That sounds like what it is. But you know what? I want to thank everybody for jumping on the class. You know what I mean? And staying on. Eduardo, Tawada, all the sisters, and everybody who jumped on the class. You know, go back to the beginning of the class. Real good class, man. We were talking about a lot of stuff. You know, and don't forget, man, we are special people.
Right.
And we need to start acting like that. We need to start letting all the other nations, man, you're not going to walk over us anymore.
Right. That's right.
You ain't going to treat us like we dirt no more, man. Let me tell you something. We are a different people. We are, man, our art, our culture, the love we have, the way we are, man, we beyond everybody else. We need to start acting like it.
Right.
And the way we do that, absolutely are God's chosen. And the way we do that is to re-educate ourselves.
Right.
And separate from a nation that hates us.
Right.
That's the only way we're going to begin to understand who we are. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that's right, man. ISUPK is the home of the truth. Don't forget, we got that cookout coming up. It's going to be in Vegas. It's going to be November 11th through the 14th, right? November 11th through the 14th. Jump on my page. Hey, man, Eduardo, if you're not on my Casa Yard page, Make sure you jump on Kazakh. I'm on Facebook. You know, keep up with us. Ayar, man, the water for bringing that brother and staying on as always, man. Ayar, man, Most High in Christ, that the Lord has kept you here with us, man. Ayar, you know I'm gonna want to see you at Vegas, man. So, man, you better be ready for that one. Hit me up, Ayar. We may have a location, so you don't have to worry about a spot. So hit me up, man. We're gonna try to get it together. I'll see you there, man. And for everybody else, the water for joining us. Don't forget, man, we're gonna be there. Vegas coming up, baby. Join in, man. Have a great time. Save that date. For more information, contact out here Captain Dohar or Captain Kwam. Hit us up, man. We're going to try our best to make everybody and accommodate everybody. You know what I mean? So, man, till next week, we want to thank everybody. Anything?
Just remember, man, I.S.U.P.K is the home of the truth, man. And we... Right now, we putting this together, man, for our raza, for our gente, man. You know what I'm saying? It's our time, raza, to wake up, man. Wake up and pay attention to what's happening around us right now, man. This oppressor is letting it be known how much he hates us, man. Times are only going to get crazier, man.
Right.
And when they do, man, we're going to be right here, man, to lift our people up, man. To show you that brotherhood, man.
Absolutely.
And the only place where it exists, right here in the I.S.U.P.K, man.
That's right. With that, man, we're going to say goodnight. The water, everybody, for joining. David Ortiz, man, you got to be there, man. I.S.U.P.K, Cookout, California. Till next week. Shalom, Israel.
Shalom.
Man, we running late today. We were just having a good time. That's what happened. I work late tomorrow at 12. Oh, man. Depressing. Right back to square one. I almost forgot about my ordeal with the fucking washing machine, man. Shit. Man. But you let these depressed on that one. Pinche lavador.